Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Kushina is sealed into Naruto at the same time as the Kyuubi part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Minato-koi, Kushina begged, don't do this to him. Let me seal it back into myself and take it with me into the grave. I'm dying anyway. If we do that, it will just reform in the middle of Konoha in 9 years, Minato protested. I don't like it either, but this is our only choice. Kushina began to cry. She knew how Jinchuriki were treated in other places. The only reason she had gotten off lightly was that very few people knew. That monster Danza had always been after her. With either Minato or herself to protect him, would he get his claws on her baby? Seal me inside him too, she commanded. Minato faltered. What? I'm dying anyway. This way I can help him and make sure he can survive. You were planning on using that technique, don't deny it. With either of us there, he'll need something. Plus, I can teach him his heritage. He's the last Uzumaki, Minato, but without me to teach him, so much will be lost. Minato nodded thoughtfully. Maybe I could seal a shadow clone of myself in him too. Kushina and Minato started to toss back and forth ideas on how to modify the 8 trigram seal they were using as a base to accomplish what they wanted, while Minato made sketches. They were both seal masters, but they had different styles. Kushina had an intuitive, outside-the-box understanding on how seals work that was common in her clan. Minato had a very analytical style that was much more methodical. Together they could do amazing things. They had just finished designing how to get their baby's chakra to support her within the seal and bring her out of stasis once he had enough, when they heard the Kyuubi's roar. No time, Minato said sadly. It won't take long to duplicate what we've done here to support both of us, Kushina protested. Minato shook his head. If it's unbalanced, it will bring down the whole array. Maybe you should be the one then, Kushina said. No, Minato interrupted firmly. He'll need his mother. Plus, I'm the one who has to do the sealing. You don't have the strength right now. It will work better if it's you in there. Minato picked up their son, Naruto, and gave him a kiss on the forehead. He placed him in Kushina's arms and then gave her a firm, but brief kiss on the lips. He grabbed her shoulders and they disappeared in a yellow flash. They appeared at a personal retreat that Minato liked to use, just outside of Konoha. Minato disappeared in another yellow flash and reappeared with a couple of blankets and boxes. Minato set the boxes up to make a stand on which to lay Naruto, so that he could paint the seal on his stomach. The arrangement kind of reminded Kushina of an altar with Naruto's blanket draped over the top of it. She lay down beside the stand. Almost done, Koi, he said. I just need some blood. He handed her a kunai, and she pricked her thumb with it, and then handed it back. I could have held the beast down while you worked, Kushina said. This'll work better if you save your chakra, he said. Hiruzen-san and the others can hold the beast off for a few minutes. You should say your last words to him now. You won't see him again for a few years. I don't want to steal your time, she protested, since you won't see him again. I've managed to put a little of my chakra in him like a shadow clone, but I don't have the time to make it self-sustaining. I'll be able to have a few minutes with him. I'll leave the trigger in your hands. A flash of hope shot through her. If she was patient, she might have time to figure out how to adapt Naruto's chakra to reinforce Minato's. As soon as I leave, I'll grab the Kyuubi and start the sealing immediately, he said. He turned to their son. I'm really sorry about this, son. Listen to your mother. She'll help you out. I love you. With another yellow flash, he was gone. Kushina started babbling. She was not quite sure what she was saying. Before long, her husband reappeared with the Kyuubi. He ran toward them and yelled, seal. A giant specter with a tanto appeared above them, summoned by the Death Reaper seal that reinforced the 8 trigram seal. It parted the giant fox with its blade, and then shoved half of it into Minato, and the other half into Naruto. The last thing she saw was her husband being pulled into the specter's mouth. 5-year-old Uzumaki Naruto was lonely. Everyone in the orphanage ignored him. They were not explicitly mean to him. The only matron who tried was escorted away by masked shinobi, but they only interacted with him when required. It started with the matrons and trickled down to the other orphans. Occasionally a new child would play with him for a short time, but they all eventually gave in to peer pressure. Several times a few kids had tried to pick on him. The matrons stopped that quickly enough, but in the process they encouraged the bullies to ignore him. All he wanted was a single friend. Was that too much to ask? The only person who was his friend was the old man that everyone called Hokage-sama, but he only visited Naruto once a month for about an hour. The old man always took him to get ramen at a little stand. The shop owner and his daughter were both friendly, but they were usually too busy to do more than greet him. Naruto lay in his bed staring at the ceiling. Unlike the other orphans, he got his own small room. The matrons talked like it was a privilege, but he felt like it was just another tool to keep him lonely. He sighed and rolled over and tried to go to sleep. Naruto awoke in a meadow. The sky was a pale gray that seemed to fade into white. He could not tell if the gray was due to fog or something else. The edges of the meadow seemed to fade into gray where there were not any trees, so he figured it was an odd fog. The only prominent things in the meadow were a small creek and a 2-story house about the size of the orphanage. Shrugging his shoulders, Naruto approached the house. He knocked on the door, but nobody answered. After a minute, he tried the doorknob. It was unlocked, so he opened the door and went in the house. The house was nicely furnished. He noticed some pictures on the wall. The pictures were of a pretty red-haired lady and a blonde man, either alone or together. Oddly, the face of the blonde man was always fuzzed out. There was a bookshelf. He scanned the books. He did not know many kanji yet, so most of the book titles were meaningless to him. One, however, stood out: History of the Uzumaki Clan. He excitedly picked it off the shelf and opened it up. More kanji, most of them were unfamiliar. With a sigh, he placed it back on the shelf. He wandered around the main floor. There were 2 locked doors. One might have led to the basement, and the other to an office. Upstairs appeared to be mostly bedrooms. One appeared to be a guest room and most of the rest were empty. One of them pulled at his heartstrings. It was a nursery with the word Naruto spelled out in hiragana on a crib. The room was lovingly set up. It was only missing a baby. He climbed into the crib and lay there for at least 10 minutes. He had to scrunch up his knees, because even though he was small for a 5-year-old, he was too big to lay flat. Eventually, he left the room to look at the rest. In the largest of the bedrooms, a red-haired woman lay on the bed. She was wearing a green dress over a white blouse and her hair was kept out of her face by a green hair clip. She was the same woman as in the pictures, and she appeared to be asleep. Naruto imagined that she was his mother. He thought she must be a relative, at least, between the crib and the Uzumaki book. He frowned. This must be a dream. There was no way he would just go to sleep in the orphanage and then appear here otherwise. He sighed. It was a good dream. He put a hand on the woman's elbow and shook it a little. Even if it were a dream, it would still be nice to know what was going on. She began to stir. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said. "I'm not sure where I am. Can you help me?" The woman sat up a little and looked at him. "Naruto-chan?" she asked. "Yeah, I'm Naruto. Who are you?" "I'm your mother," she said, smiling brightly. "Mama?" Naruto responded as the woman gathered him into a hug. He started to sniffle a little. "What's wrong, Naruto-chan?" she asked. "This is such a nice dream. I'll be sad to wake up." "Do you have such a bad life, Naruto-chan?" his mother asked. "I don't know. Nobody's mean to me, but nobody will play with me either. Only the old man and the Ikarakus are nice to me." "Ichiraku? The ramen stand owner?" she asked. He nodded. "They have the best ramen," his mother said happily. He nodded enthusiastically. "Did you eat there often?" She chuckled. "More than I should have." She got a serious look on her face. "This is a special kind of dream, Naruto-chan." "Special? How?" he asked. "I was dying because of something that happened the day you were born. Your father and I made a special technique that put part of me inside you before I died. It took a while for you to get enough chakra to support that piece of me, but now that you do, you can come to this special place in your mind and talk to me. At first you'll only be able to do this while asleep, but eventually you'll be able to enter a special trance to come here whenever you want." "Is Daddy here too?" Naruto asked. She shook her head sadly. "We didn't have enough time to figure out how to put both of us in here. I think he left enough of himself in here to last a few minutes, but I want to save that until you're older." "Why is his picture fuzzed out downstairs?" he asked. "Your daddy and I had enemies that we don't want to find out about you yet. I won't tell you our names until you've shown me you can keep a secret. Your daddy has a very famous face, so I fuzzed out the pictures while I was creating this place." "You made this?" he asked, impressed. She smiled. "The technique that your daddy and I made gives me limited control over this part of your mindscape. I chose to make it look like our house." "Mindscape?" "It's a fancy word for the part of your mind where we can meet," she said. "I saw the Uzumaki book downstairs. Is that Daddy's family? He asked. She smiled again. No, sweetie, that's my family. Did the Sandaime give you the Uzumaki name? He nodded. Good. I don't want you to talk about the book to anyone outside the mindscape. This will be your test, okay? If you can keep the fact that you're a part of the real Uzumaki clan a secret, I'll tell you about your father when you turn 8, okay? Not even Jishin? He asked. Not yet, Naruto-chan. They spent several hours talking. Naruto told her about the orphanage and the old man. His mother told him about how pleased she and his father were to have him, and a little bit about her life. Eventually, he fell asleep for real. The next night, Naruto appeared in the Mindscape meadow again after going to sleep to his immense relief. I'm glad it was real, he said to himself. His mother was waiting for him in the front room of the house. What do you want to do when you're older, Naruto-chan? She asked. You and Daddy were shinobi, right? He asked. That's right, she answered. That's what I want to be too, he exclaimed. She smiled at him. Good, I can start you training in the Mindscape. You'll still have to practice in the real world. I'm ready, he exclaimed. What is it? She giggled and ruffled his hair. The most important thing for an Uzumaki shinobi to learn is calligraphy. What? He shouted. Our clan was famous for its sealing skills. Your father was pretty good at it too, even though he wasn't an Uzumaki. You need to have very good handwriting and calligraphy skills for sealing. Okay, he said. The orphanage matrons were not too pleased at the amount of paper and ink that Naruto wanted to use. They could not forbid him completely since they were supposed to be teaching the children to read and write, but they limited him to a sheet of paper a day. He thought about asking the old man for more paper and ink, but decided not to since he did not have a good excuse for it that would not expose his secret. His mama had him practice writing with both hands because it would not do to lose your most versatile and valuable tool due to an injury. The other thing his mama had him doing was physical exercises. Most of them did not have any effect in the mindscape, so she showed him how to do them and then told him how many of each to do in real life. The orphanage taught him the standard kanji he should know for his age, but ignored him when he asked for more. Luckily, his mama taught him as much as he wanted to know. In general, he did not care for reading, but whenever he asked his mama to read the history of the Uzumaki clan book to him, she told him to read it himself. He suspected it was to motivate him to learn his kanji. He asked her how she had made the books appear in his mindscape. She had told him that it was a special seal that had captured the state of their house at a specific point in time, and then allowed her to reconstruct anything that was in it at that time in her mindscape. She told him that it was useful for studying on long missions. He asked his mama why everyone was so cold to him. She got sad and told him that she would tell him when he was 12. It's not your fault, Naruto-chan, she said. People are stupid, especially when it's about things they really don't understand. The reason is a little complicated and I don't want you to take it the wrong way, so I'm going to have to ask you to wait. Okay, mama, he said. As long as you don't hate me, I'll be alright. When Naruto turned 6, his mama started teaching him basic taijutsu, and told him how to awaken his chakra. After he awoke his chakra, she showed him chakra control exercises, starting with leaf sticking. When he complained how boring it was, she said, I know it's boring, but if you don't start controlling your chakra now, it will be much more difficult to do it later. What's so important about that leaf sticking can teach me? He asked. It leads to walking on walls and water later, she answered. That's pretty cool, right? He nodded and started bouncing excitedly. There are also a few other cool things you can do if your chakra control is good enough, including my signature technique. Do you want to see? Yeah. She held out her hand and a chain flew out of it and struck a tree on the edge of the meadow. Cool, he exclaimed. Will I be able to do that? She nodded. If your chakra control is good enough, you should be able to. Most Uzumaki can. My chakra is special in that my chains can suppress other people's chakra. That's actually fairly rare, so I don't know if you'll be able to do that, but you should be able to form the chains. The few Uzumaki who can't do it can duplicate the ability, including the chakra suppression, with a seal. The other very useful thing you can do with good enough chakra control is to manifest a temporary seal with your chakra. It only works with seals you've memorized absolutely, but it allows you to use them in combat once you get good at it. I can actually make the seals form at the end of my chains. Awesome! Naruto exclaimed and redoubled his efforts at leaf sticking. About 7 months after Naruto's 6th birthday, the old man allowed him to enter the Shinobi Academy. Based on one of his mama's stories, he loudly proclaimed that he would be Hokage when he grew up. The class laughed at him, and the teacher got angry. The academy was boring. Mostly it was learning history, math, and language with some pretty simple physical exercises thrown in. His mama told him the curriculum would expand as he got older. His teacher at the academy treated him worse than the orphanage matrons. His work was graded much more harshly than anyone else's. By this time his handwriting was impeccable, but the teacher always found mistakes. When he asked his mama about it, she explained that she had taught him the Yuzu style, which was slightly different than the high style, but that the instructor should not be marking him down for that difference. The few times he tried adding the extra flourishes of the high style, the instructor still found excuses to mark him down, so he went back to the Yuzu style. Besides grading his work more harshly, the teacher also ignored him. If he raised his hand or stood up, the instructor didn't see him. If he just spoke his question, he was sent into the hall for disrupting the class. Sometimes he was sent into the hall without doing anything. Despite this, he was in solidly in the middle of the class. He shuddered to think of where he would be if it were not for his mama helping him. He thought about complaining about the unfair treatment to the old man, but decided that whining about only getting average scores was not his style, and he started pranking the teacher instead. His mama confessed that she had been a prankster when she had been in the academy, which only made him redouble his efforts. At first, he got caught pretty often, which dropped his standing to near the bottom as the teacher took away citizenship points. After a while he stopped getting caught, but since he had a reputation and was disliked, the teacher always blamed him anyway. The other students treated him like the orphans did, except that the teachers did not stop the bullying. He made a few friends at first, but they did not last long. One or two admitted that their parents had told them to stay away from him. Before long, even the ones that had not been warned by parents stayed away due to peer pressure. The bullying led to fights that were always Naruto's fault no matter who started it, which contributed to his loss of citizenship points. Naruto's taijutsu was good enough that he usually won, which limited the physical bullying. He did make an effort to stamp out bullying whenever he encountered it. Usually his efforts went unrewarded. Sometimes he would make a friend for a few days, but inevitably they would succumb to the peer pressure or their parents' wishes. The most notable people he helped were a pink-haired girl who he sometimes saw around the academy, and a pale-eyed girl named Hinata who was whisked away by a servant or relative. The pink-haired girl, Sakura, was friendly for longer than normal, but she succumbed eventually. He saw the pale-eyed girl sometimes, but she never approached him. In the second academy year they started basic taijutsu and shuriken practice. Naruto was better than most of the class in both of those due to instruction from his mama, but the instructor usually found a reason to mark him lower than he should have. He did notice that there were some new kids that got moved in from a different class. The only one that stood out was Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke was the only kid that routinely beat Naruto in taijutsu. Sasuke's main advantage was that he used a more advanced taijutsu style. He was a little bit aloof, but friendly in general. Sasuke was the only kid that did not ignore Naruto. He asked his mama if their clan had an advanced taijutsu style. She told them that there had been several but that she only knew one of them. When he asked to learn it, she said, "The taijutsu style I know is for women. It wouldn't help you that much, sweetie." "Why not?" he asked. "Women's strength comes from their hips, while men's come from their shoulders. Chakra helps offset this, but chakra multiplies the existing strength. A woman will always get more out of a taijutsu style centered around hip movement. A man can use that type of style, but would get more out of one designed around their upper body." "So I could use your style, it just wouldn't be the best style for me?" he asked. "Well," she said, "some modifications would still need to be made. At your age there isn't a huge difference between boys and girls, but starting in a few years there starts to be more differences. These are centered around the fact that a woman's pelvis is shaped differently than a man's. Women walk, run, and kick differently. Women also tend to be shorter, and a few other things. Couldn't you change it to work for me?" he pleaded. "Maybe, but it would be better for you to pick one that's more suited to you to begin with. It's too bad, because taijutsu was one of my specialties, but I never learned more than the general basics and my specific style." A few months into the year, Sasuke changed. He was gone from class for a month, and when he came back he was not just aloof, but dark and brooding. From that point, Sasuke started ignoring him and everyone else. Naruto heard rumors that Sasuke's clan had been murdered. He tried to befriend the boy, but was brushed off. When he talked to his mama about it, she took it badly. "Uchiha Mikoto was my best friend," she said. "Itachi-chan did it. He was such a nice boy. It's too bad Sasuke is so unfriendly. Mikoto and I always wanted you two to be friends." I'm kind of surprised she hasn't been active in your life. I've never seen her, Naruto said. Probably politics or her jerk of a husband is keeping her away. On Naruto's 8th birthday, his mama told him that his daddy was the 4th Hokage. That made him super excited, since the 4th was his hero. The pictures in the Mindscape house stopped having fuzzy faces. His mama emphasized the importance of keeping the secret since there were many in IWA and Kumo that hated his daddy and would take the opportunity to take revenge through him. She told him there were even a few in Konoha who did not like his daddy, but he found it hard to believe since his daddy had saved Konoha several times. This made him even more determined to be the best Hokage ever. In the 3rd academy year, they learned kunai throwing and more taijutsu. In the 4th year they awakened their chakra, if they had not already, and learned leaf sticking. If Naruto had not already done so, it would have been difficult as the teacher always sent him out during the explanations on the chakra control exercise and why it was important. In the 5th year they started to learn their first ninjutsu, the clone technique. Despite having good chakra control, Naruto could not do it. When he asked his mama about it, she said, although it's classed as a ninjutsu, the clone technique is actually a genjutsu. Uzumaki typically have trouble with genjutsu due to our dense chakra and high chakra reserves, especially genjutsu with small chakra requirements. I could never do the clone technique unless I made at least 20 clones. Should I do that? Make a bunch of clones? He asked. I would not recommend it, she said. From what you've told me of your teacher, he would just keep failing you until you could make just one and would look for more ways to sabotage you. I think this will actually be a good test as to whether your teacher actually cares about you. If your teacher actually helps you figure out why you can't do the clone technique, he's a good teacher. I already know my teacher hates me, Naruto said. I don't see him changing his mind. Eventually you'll get a new teacher once enough kids drop out and they merge classes. His chakra reserves kept expanding. This did not help make clone any easier. To counter that, his mama taught him how to climb trees with chakra. In the latter part of the 5th year, the class learned the disguise technique. The teacher tried to stop Naruto from learning the new ninjutsu because he had not learned the clone technique yet. He was able to figure out how to do it by spying on the other kids. He picked up the technique without too much difficulty. He was a little surprised at how easy it was since he thought it might really be a genjutsu too. Disguise was easy for me too, his mama admitted. Much easier than I thought it would be since clone always gave me trouble. They're actually somewhat similar techniques, although disguise takes more chakra. Naruto practiced disguise extensively, since it was the only ninjutsu he knew. The amount of chakra it took depended on the complexity of the change. Since he had more chakra than his classmates, he did not have any problem changing into almost anything. If he changed his size, there was a chakra cost to keeping the technique going, but if it was something his own size, it cost nothing, or almost nothing, to maintain. His mama also started teaching him the basics of sealing theory. This included the characters used in seals and how the geometry of the seal influenced how the characters related to each other. She had him make some basic seals that changed color when chakra was added to specific characters. On his 10th birthday, he complained to his mom, "My taijutsus hit a plateau. I'm not getting any better." "Do you know why?" his mom asked. "Nobody to spar with except you, and that's here," he said. "Fighting in the real world is different. I know all your low-level tricks, and if you go all out, I can't even touch you. Sparring against only one person not at my level doesn't really do it for me." "What about at school?" she asked. "I'm better than anyone in my class except the Uchiha, and I only get put against him about once a month. The teacher and his aide both ignore me. I'm not really learning any taijutsu at school." She said. "It is your birthday. Hold the ram seal for me and put as much chakra into it as you can." He did so and could see the chakra glowing from his skin. "Low Jounin level chakra reserves," his mom said. "Looks like I can teach this to you safely." She showed him a hand seal that had the middle and index fingers crossed. This is the clone hand seal. It's used for this technique and a couple of derived techniques. "A clone technique? Is this going to be as awful as the other one to do?" he grumbled. She smirked at him. "Just wait and see." She had him practice making the seal for half an hour. "You'll need to practice the hand seal in the real world for a bit to make sure you can do it consistently," she said. She stood across from him. "Let me demonstrate it to you, then I'll tell you how to do it. This is the shadow clone technique." She made the hand seal and then a second redhead formed beside her. It makes solid, independent clones. They're somewhat fragile. A good hit will disperse them, but they're pretty useful. They know everything you do and can perform techniques. You also get all their memories when they disperse, so you can use them for scouting and studying. I would just be careful in that if you disperse too many at once, you can get a headache or worse. That does sound useful, but how will they help me with taijutsu if they're fragile? He asked. You can use them in low-impact spars. Seeing how you fight from a different angle can be pretty useful. If you make a few of them, you can have them fight each other. I see, he said. It'll be better than what I have right now, at least. She smirked. This is actually my favorite technique after my adamant sealing chains. Uzumaki can typically get a lot more use out of this since we have more chakra. Ours are typically a little sturdier too, since we have denser chakra. Making them is pretty simple, actually. Flow chakra through the hand seal and then pinch off the chakra and pull it apart. He did so, but nothing happened. After practicing for another half an hour with some tips from his mom, he did it. You need to be careful with this, Naruto-chan. If you don't have enough chakra to make a clone, it will send you into chakra exhaustion. Can I make more than one at once? He asked. Yes, you just pinch the chakra off into thirds or fourths. It works the best if you make them equal. There's a shortcut for making lots at once, but I'm not going to teach you that yet, since it's actually pretty dangerous. You can die if you try and make too many. I don't want you to make more than 5 shadow clones at once for now, okay? Okay, Mom, he said. An idea struck him. If they remember what I do and can use chakra, can they be used to learn ninjutsu? She smiled. They can, sort of. You only learn from them when they dispel, so if you have a bunch of them doing things exactly the same, you won't learn much because they'll make the same mistakes. If you have them working on different parts of a technique though, it could help. Where they really shine for training is in chakra control exercises. If you have them dispel regularly, the ones still training learn what the dispelled one did. Unless you're training with identical leaves and trees, which is impossible, the differences between what your different clones do add up. Other than that, it's like training in your mindscape. They don't help with physical things other than helping build reflexes and patterns, but they do help with chakra training. Awesome, he said. Practicing taijutsu in his mindscape helped him to learn the moves, but he had to also put in real-world practice so that his muscles learned the moves as well as his mind. That meant that shadow clones would be useful with taijutsu, even if they were not a complete solution. You'll have to be careful though, son, she said. I don't want anyone to know you can do this, so don't do it where you can be seen. He used his new technique in a small clearing with a creek running through it. The chakra control exercise he was currently doing was water walking. The creek was deep enough he could do it, but not too deep that he would get his clothes wet if he wore shorts unless he was stupid. Even with just the 5 clones his mom restricted him to, he could notice a change in his chakra control progress. His taijutsu was also improving again. It was frustrating to have to keep replacing a clone if he sparred too hard, but it was worth it. Near the end of the year, he hit another plateau in his taijutsu skills. In all honesty, it did not feel like anything had changed. He knew he was better, but he still could not beat the Uchiha. He had lost to him earlier in the day, in fact. He was still much better than the other students, but that had been true before his mom had taught him shadow clones. That night, he again asked his mom to teach him her taijutsu. I told you it wouldn't help you much, she said. What you really need is for a male taijutsu expert to find you a suitable style. I don't want you to pick up bad habits now that you'll have to unlearn. In frustration, he used the disguise technique to change himself into a girl. What about now? He asked cheekily. His mom arched an eyebrow at him. You know that for most people the disguise is just an illusion. They aren't physically different, and it wouldn't help with their taijutsu. Most people? He asked. My disguise technique was always more physical, she said. If the cause for that is what I suspect, it would be true for you too. She rubbed his cheek and then nodded. Come inside the house. She led him to her bedroom and they stood in front of the room's full-length mirror. He looked at himself. He was a little more slender, especially in the chest area. His hair was red, the same color as his mom's, and his whisker birthmarks were missing. Take off your clothes. Let's see how real this is. He felt embarrassed about disrobing in front of his mom, but did it anyway. His eyes were drawn to his private area, which was completely different. How did you know to make it like that? His mother asked. Have you been peeping? He frantically shook his head. No, this just felt natural, he explained. It sort of clicked into place. Okay, she said, I believe you. You can get dressed. While he got dressed, his mother asked, Why did you make your hair red? For you, Mom, he said. You've been my only real friend. I thought that if you had a daughter, you would like it if she had hair like yours. His mom hugged him. Ah, sweetie, I wouldn't give you up for any daughter. Naruto struggled to get loose. Let me finish getting dressed, Mom. She giggled and let him go. It's true that Minato and I wanted more than one kid, but I'm happy with just you. Thanks, Mom. Why did you get rid of your whisker birthmarks? His mom asked. Naruto scowled. I hate them. They mark me as different. I suspect they're part of the reason everyone hates me. His mother sighed. I was going to wait for another 2 years to tell you, but I think you're ready and it will explain part of why you can do this and no one other than the two of us can. He brightened. It starts when Konoha was young. There were 2 candidates for Hokage, Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. Almost the entire village voted for Hashirama, including most of Madara's clan. Madara felt betrayed and left. He eventually returned and attacked the village with the Kyuubi no Yuko doing his bidding. The Kyuubi, Naruto whispered. He had heard tales of what the great demon had done to the village 10 years ago. Hashirama defeated Madara and the Kyuubi with the help of his wife Uzumaki Mito, who was my great-great-aunt. Aunt Mito sealed the Kyuubi inside herself in order to defeat it. When she neared the end of her life, Aunt Mito sent to Yuzushio to get someone to replace her as the jailer of the Kyuubi. I was selected because of my special chakra which suppresses other people's chakra. I came to Konoha and eventually Aunt Mito transferred the Kyuubi into me using a special seal. Naruto listened in awe. When I was older, I married your father and became pregnant with you. We knew that giving birth weakens the seal on a demon container, and that there was a danger of it getting loose. Minato made preparations and stood by to make sure it didn't get out. Unfortunately, a man attacked us and by holding you hostage, drew Minato away and then came back and freed the Kyuubi and set it against Konoha. Naruto clenched his fists. It was because of that man that he had grown up without parents. I was dying due to the Kyuubi being extracted from me and because of that, the only candidate to seal the Kyuubi into was you. Only an Uzumaki is strong enough to hold the Kyuubi and most of our family died not long after I came to Konoha. You and I were certainly the only ones in Konoha at the time. She shed a few tears. The seal that Minato used cost him his life. He used it in order to make sure that you would be safe from the Kyuubi. I had heard about the way that Jinchuriki, that's what they call people like us, were treated in places where their identity was known, so I insisted that I be sealed into you as well. We wanted to include Minato too, but there was no time for us to figure out a way to put us both in the seal. Naruto felt his anger rise. Do you hate us, Naruto? His mom asked quietly. His anger left him. Huh. No way, Mom. I'm angry at the jerk who set the Kyuubi free and the idiots who can't tell the difference between a seal and what's sealed inside it. He looked her in the face. Did they treat you badly too? She laughed ruefully. No, hardly anybody knew. It was a secret. Why did they tell everyone about me then? He asked. I suspect that they had to say something to the shinobi, at least, of what happened to the Kyuubi. After that, I suppose it was a leak among the shinobi. I bet it was my whisker marks that gave me away, he said sullenly. Ironically, his mom said, you were born with those marks. They're because I was the Kyuubi's container, not you. You would have had them even if it hadn't been broken free. He snorted. I suspect the reason you can make true transformations is because of the Kyuubi. Kitsune in legends are supposed to be shapeshifters. As for why you can change into a girl without knowing anything about them, maybe the Kyuubi is female, or maybe it's because its previous 2 containers were women. So, will you teach me your taijutsu now? He asked. I don't think this is a healthy idea, Naruto-chan. She sighed. I guess if you see how your body moves correctly as a girl, you might be able to adapt it to your own body. Very well. Tomorrow, make sure your disguise transformation is real in the real world. If it is, and I suspect it will be, I'll start teaching you my taijutsu forms. Thanks, Mom! He exclaimed. The transformation worked in the real world, so the next night his mom started him on katas for the Whirling Tides taijutsu style. His mom also started him on flexibility exercises in order to get the most out of it. Out of curiosity, he tried the kata without the disguise transformation on. It was a little uncomfortable, but manageable. When he mentioned it to his mom, she said, I never said a man couldn't use this style, it's just that it works best for women. As you get older, this will be easier transformed than not. I still say that you should get someone else to teach you a better style for you, but I've decided not to fight you on this anymore. Ultimately, this can be good for infiltration missions, if nothing else. After they were done and they were relaxing, he asked her, where did my name come from, Mom? Your dad sensei wrote a book called The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Shinobi. The main character's name was Naruto. Minato and I loved that book. I think we have a copy in the library here. Don't go looking for anything else by Jiraiya, though. After his first book didn't sell well, he switched to writing smut. Cool, he said. I'll give it a read. I think the name is a reference to one of his students named Nagato, who was also an Uzumaki, but I'm not sure how closely related we are to him. Unfortunately, Jiraiya said he was dead. So I'm probably the only Naruto? Cool. The kids in class were teasing me about being named after a ramen topping, he said. She giggled. Mikoto totally said that too when I told her. I like ramen as much as you do. Ramen's the best. No, your name uses the kanji for the storm, not the ramen topping. Would you have used that name for me if I were born a girl? He asked. Already looking for an alias? She teased. Maybe, he said with an embarrassed shrug. We were thinking about it, but I was leaning toward Tsunami. Huh. Namike Tsunami is kind of symmetrical. His mom laughed. So it is. I wouldn't use that alias at least until you're Jounin level. IWA targeted Minato's cousins and they weren't even shinobi. Most of them ended up changing their names and moving far away. Naruto took to training his taijutsu at least half the time in his Tsunami disguise. He had tried out wearing an orange outfit, since it was his favorite color. His mom told him it clashed horribly with Tsunami's red hair. After pouting for a few minutes, he settled on a green jacket that flared at the hips and dark blue pants. His mom had made him promise not to use the whirling tide style at the academy. Even though it defeated his original reason for learning it, beating Sasuke in a spar, more than anything, he enjoyed doing something that he could share with his mom. Even though he still lived at the orphanage, nowadays he mainly only slept there. He often ate dinner at his clearing. He took to shopping for dinner, mostly instant ramen cups, while in his girl disguise. He was treated better, as Tsunami, which gave him mixed feelings. About a month from the end of the school year, he was practicing in his clearing as Tsunami, when he suddenly felt something was wrong before he blacked out. When he awoke, he found himself strapped to a chair. He could not feel his chakra. A dour-looking scar-faced man with a leaf badge on a bandana that covered the top of his head was starting at him. Who are you? Scarface asked. Uzumaki Tsunami, he said. I'll admit that you look like an Uzumaki, but we don't have any true Uzumaki in our village anymore, Scarface said. What are you doing here? We don't take kindly to unknown persons practicing ninja skills in hidden areas of our village. I can explain to the Hokage, Naruto said. Why should Hokage-sama come talk to you? Anything you could say to him, you can say to me. He thought for a minute. He did not know anything about Scarface. He could not even be sure he was still in Konoha. He did not have any code words set up with the old man. He decided to take a chance on a reference to his heritage. Tell him it's about Kushina and her husband. Uzumaki Kushina never married, Scarface said. It was a secret marriage, Naruto said. Very well, Scarface said, but if you're wasting my time, it will go worse for you. Several hours later, the Hokage entered the room, frowning. He stared at Naruto for a few moments. Scarface stood behind him. Hokage-sama, I suggest that you send anyone you don't want to know about Kushina's husband out of the room, Naruto said. It felt weird to call the old man by his title, but he didn't think his surrogate grandfather would appreciate Naruto's brand of informality coming from an unknown prisoner. Everyone leave, the Hokage commanded. Scarface left, and the old man shut the door. He placed a privacy seal and activated it. Naruto could not draw one yet, but he recognized it. How do you know what less than 10 living people know? The Hokage demanded. I found out about my parents, Naruto said. Stop the lies, the Hokage snarled. Kushina never had a daughter. Naruto was unnerved to see this side of the Hokage. He decided to come clean. How about you tell me who you think her husband was? Her husband's name was Minato, and I'm not their daughter, he said. Tsunami is an alias. I'm really Naruto. They did a full examination of you while you were unconscious, girl, and a disguise won't work without access to your chakra or while unconscious. Try again. I have an unusual disguise technique, because of my tenant, Naruto said. It allows me to do actual transformation with no chakra maintenance. My mom could do the same thing. Kushina never said anything about that, the Hokage said. She told me she rarely saw the need to use it, Naruto said. How do you explain talking to a woman who died the day you claim you were born? The Hokage asked. I'll explain it to you after I prove who I am and we go someplace more comfortable, Hokage-sama, Naruto said. Naruto never calls me Hokage-sama, he said. I don't feel comfortable calling you Jishin when I'm chained to the chair, Naruto said. How do you propose to prove yourself? The Hokage asked. Give me access to my chakra and I'll show you my seal, Naruto said. The Hokage thought for a couple of minutes. I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know anything about Naruto that couldn't be found out by 2 days' worth of observation. I'll remove the chakra suppression seal, but if you try anything you'll definitely wish you hadn't. He nodded. I understand. You'll also need to lift my shirt. This would be easiest if I could make a ram seal, but I'll understand if you don't want to free my hands. The Hokage removed a seal tag from his back and then lifted his shirt with one hand. Go ahead and flare your chakra gently. Naruto summoned a small amount of chakra. He could not see his stomach, but he saw the Hokage's eyes bug out briefly. Can you release the disguise? The Hokage asked. I can, Naruto answered, but I need to make hand seals to reapply it. I'd rather not have anyone know that Tsunami and I are the same person. That type of disguise is too useful to let out to anyone at this point, the Hokage admitted. I wish Kushina had told me she could do it. Probably didn't want to be stuck on nothing but infiltration missions, Naruto said. The Hokage thought for a moment. That's probably it. She didn't have the personality for them. He glanced at Naruto. I dare say that you don't either. No way, Jishin, he said. I have a little bit more patience than I let on, but not that much. I'll get the key to your bonds and then come back, the Hokage said. The Hokage replaced the chakra suppression tag and then left. About 10 minutes later, the Hokage returned. Naruto wondered if most of the time was spent arguing with Scarface. The Hokage again removed the chakra suppression tag. Turning to Naruto, the Hokage said, if you can do it and then keep it with your chakra suppressed, I'll let you go. Okay, Naruto said. He released the disguise. Amazing, the Hokage said. He placed the chakra suppression tag on Naruto and left it there for a minute before removing it. One last thing, tell me how you know what you know. Naruto sighed. My mom talked my dad into sealing her into me since she was dying. She appeared in my mindscape when I was 5. I've been talking to her every night since. How do you know it's not the Kyuubi trying to trick you? The Hokage asked. I wouldn't think the Kyuubi is capable of faking motherly love without trying to poison me against Konoha for 5 years unless it's really misunderstood, Naruto said. Mom did give me something to say to you to prove it was her if you ever found out. Go on, he said. She said to mention the 6 bowls of Ichiraku ramen she extorted from you for not telling Dewako about the orange-covered books hidden in your desk. He chuckled, embarrassed. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's her, although we can't rule out the Kyuubi knowing about that since it was imprisoned in your mother. He unchained Naruto. Okay, change back to your girl disguise, the Hokage said. Naruto formed the ram seal and changed into his tsunami disguise. You can do disguise with only one hand seal? He asked. Your version does use the standard hand seals, right? Naruto nodded. I practiced a bunch. I heard that the second Hokage could do it, and thought it would be cool. The Hokage nodded. Lots of Jounin and even Chunin do that with D and E rank techniques they use frequently. In fact, it's strongly encouraged for a Jounin to be able to do a replacement technique without using any hand seals at all. What was extraordinary about the second was that he did it with B and A rank techniques. The Hokage paused. Your reports from the academy say that you're very poor in everything. Why is that? Naruto snorted. The teacher hates me. He marks me lower in everything and then docks my overall score for misbehaving even when I don't. The old man looked stricken. Naruto, why didn't you tell me? I would have fired the idiot and gotten someone better. Naruto rolled his eyes. You and the Ikarakas are the only ones that don't hate me. I doubt switching teachers would help. Plus, it gave me an excuse to prank him. That's not true, Naruto, the Hokage said. It's mostly the ignorant civilians that hate you, the shinobi know better. Naruto shrugged. I've never met anyone else who, at the least, didn't ignore me like I wasn't worth their time. And my teacher is a shinobi. I'll make sure you're in a good class next year, the Hokage said, and fire the moron immediately. Come to my office and let me know what your mother has been teaching you. Naruto explained his skills to the Hokage. Other than the shadow clone technique and his basic sealing skills, he did not really know more than the average student. The Hokage kept his word and fired his teacher. They had substitutes for the last few months of classes. The subs were better than the old teacher, but most of them still mistreated him. He thought it was mostly because of the notes the old teacher wrote on how poor his skills were, and his behavior problems rather than his furry problem. He simply pranked them, which probably did not help his reputation, but he was past caring. He spent a lot of time thinking about how to solve the problem. He knew that giving up pranking would help, but he just could not let a slight to him go unpunished. What he needed was to start over. "You want to what?" the Hokage exclaimed. "You heard me, Jishin," Naruto said. "I want to attend the academy as Tsunami as well as Naruto." "Why would you want to do that?" the old man asked. "I want to start over," he said. "These last few weeks have been a bit better, but my reputation is weighing me down. Everyone thinks I'm the dead last, while actually I'm the second best in my class. Even if I get a teacher that doesn't see me as the fox, they'll still see me as the idiot. One of the last guys to teach my class accused me of cheating because my scores were too good compared to my historical scores." "I don't think this is the right answer, Naruto," the old man said. "There's still 2 years left. It will get better." "Alright, Jishin," Naruto said, "let's make it a wager. If at the end of the year Naruto has a standing within 5 places of Tsunami, Tsunami will disappear. If not, I get to keep her." Naruto. "I'm tired of it, Jishin," Naruto said with a sigh. "All I really want is to be accepted. I can only take so much of the harsh looks and the turnbacks. The times I went out as Tsunami to go shopping were quite refreshing." "Naruto, I sympathize, I really do, but part of your cover is the fact that nobody realizes you're a true Uzumaki. If a red-headed sister shows up, they'll make the connection to Kushina, and if they start looking for which of Kushina's friends was blonde." "Really, Jishin?" he said. "My mom says I act just like her. If that doesn't clue people in, then having a redhead sister won't." "Fine," the Hokage said with a sigh. "If you can convince your mother, and you can do seal less and smoke less replacement, and disguise techniques by a week before the next school year starts, I'll let you do it. I trust you not to lie about your mother's approval." "Naruto," his mom said worriedly, "I don't think this idea of yours is healthy." "Didn't you say that most high-level shinobi have quirks?" he countered. "Yes, but most of them don't pick them up in the academy." "I just want a chance to not have the fox hanging over me, like you did, Mom," he said. "Fine," she said, "I'll agree to the same conditions as the Hokage. You need to be able to do seal less and smoke less replacements with a shadow clone and a smoke less and seal less disguises by the deadline, and if Naruto is within 5 spots of Tsunami or is higher, the experiment ends." "Can I raise my clone quota to 10? he begged. "Fine," she said with a sigh. "Let me show you how to do replacement." The end of the academy year was coming up. He had planned to take the final test this year in order to try and graduate early, but decided to try his wager with the old man instead. He had 4 weeks to get the technique requirements down. After he spent a few hours to get the replacement down with its standard 5-hand seals, he started with disguise since he was almost there. He could already do it smokeless with only 1-hand seal. Practicing in all his free time with his 10 clones, he managed to get it down sealless and smokeless in 2 days. He started on perfecting the replacement. Luckily, replacement with a shadow clone was much easier than any other replacement. Within a day he had it smokeless with 5-hand seals due to his good chakra control. Within less than 2 weeks he had it down to 1-hand seal and smokeless. He spent almost a week and a half getting rid of the last hand seal. He had made it with 2 days to spare. He rushed over to the Hokage's office and then waited patiently for him to be free. He was practically bouncing off the walls. "Hey, Jishin," he exclaimed as he entered the office. The Hokage activated the privacy seal. "I take it from your demeanor that you have met my requirements?" "Yep, Jishin," he said excitedly. "With 2 whole days to spare." The old man sighed. "I'll make the arrangements. Let me tell you the rules. You have to switch off which is the real you and which is the shadow clone. You can't hide a Tsunami all the time. You need to switch every school day. The only exception is in taijutsu spars, the real you has to participate in each spar. This is why I made the requirement for seal-less and smoke-less replacements." "What if we have a spar at the same time or if we have to spar with each other?" Naruto asked. "I'll make you a note saying you're allowed to watch each other spar, telling the teachers not to schedule them at the same time. For the other, we typically don't have the boys and girls spar." "I've noticed that, Jishin," Naruto said, "but isn't that kind of counterproductive? I mean, enemy shinobi aren't going to accommodate that kind of arrangement." The old man sighed. "Yes, it is. It's one of the accommodations towards the civilian children that have crept in. I haven't had time to fix it yet, so I've been leaving it to the Jounin senseis to fix for now." "Can we get a place to stay other than the orphanage, Jishin?" asked Naruto. That's one of the things I would like to escape. Why? The Hokage asked. Do they treat you poorly? They aren't physically or verbally abusive, if that's what you're asking, Naruto said. They just continually ignore me unless it's a requirement to interact with me. If I'm going to be lonely, I'd rather actually be by myself rather than in a group. What about food? The Hokage asked. I rarely am there for food anymore, Naruto said. I usually make my own arrangements for food. The Hokage sighed. Very well. I'll set up one of Jiraiya's apartments for the two of you. My missing godfather, eh? Naruto said. Don't judge Jiraiya too harshly, Naruto-kun, the Hokage stated. I asked him to stay away until you became an official shinobi in order to not draw attention to the fact that you look an awful lot like your father. Naruto frowned. Okay, Jishin. Thanks for humoring me in my experiment. Naruto went to the academy as Tsunami the first day. Both of them were in a new class together. Sasuke was also in the class, as were a few others from his old class. Sakura, the pink-haired girl, and Hinata, the pale-eyed girl, were both in his class. The other kid that stood out was a boy with red marks on his cheeks who walked around with a puppy on his head. The first day went better than school usually did. The teacher treated everyone the same, although Naruto, watching as Tsunami, could tell that he was wary of Naruto. The teacher's aide was very friendly, although when the Naruto clone was not looking, he sent hateful looks his way. Tsunami wrote left-handed, so that their handwriting would look different. Naruto was grateful that his mom had made him become good at writing with both. Most of the kids treated Naruto like kids always had. The exceptions were the boy with the dog, Inuzuka Kiba, a lazy-looking boy with a pineapple haircut, Naro Shikamaru, and a large boy with swirls on his cheeks, Akimichi Chuji. There was another boy in the class who was also a loner, Aburame Shino. Shino did not really ignore him like kids usually did. He was just very polite and aloof to everyone. He hung out with Shikamaru and Chuji sometimes, but they did not seem to want to do anything but look at clouds, so he found them pretty boring. At other times he hung out with Kiba, but Kiba was too bossy to be around all the time. At this age, the boys and the girls had segregated themselves. Yamanaka Ino, a loud blonde girl, pulled Naruto as Tsunami into her orbit. Ino was friends with Sakura. Both of them did not care for Naruto in his real form, but it seemed to be mostly because they found him loud and obnoxious. Naruto found that he liked the girls, but that he could only take so much of them. Ino and Sakura mainly wanted to talk about boys, and they both quickly settled on Sasuke as the most desirable of them. When Ino and Sakura got too much for him as Tsunami, he sought out Hinata. Hinata was friendly, but very shy. She did ask him a few questions about his brother, but spent a lot of that time red-faced and stuttering. When Ino and Sakura's fawning over Sasuke and Hinata's shyness got too much for him, he sought out his other self, who was usually tired of Shikamaru and Chuji's laziness and Kiba's bossiness by that time. As far as schoolwork went, Naruto noticed a pattern. Tsunami quickly assumed a position near the top of the class. She floated between number 4 and 6, switching positions with Ino and Hinata, but consistently behind Sasuke, Shino, and Sakura. Naruto, however, found himself at dead last, which was lower than he was in his old class. Part of that was due to the people who had been worse dropping out, but mostly it was due to sabotage and the fact that a lot of the standings depended on the written tests, since there were more of them than the practical ones. His tests were different than Tsunami's, and his shuriken and kunai frequently bounced off the target. When he complained to the teacher said he would look into it, but nothing ever happened. He did pretty well in his taijutsu spars against most of the boys. Sasuke still always beat him. Kiba usually beat him, and Chuji sometimes did. In fight against the teacher's aide, however, the aide seemed to fight him harder than he did anyone else. Afterwards he always seemed friendly with a better luck next time, but Naruto knew better. He thought about talking to the old man about it, but decided to stick to their wager. Occasionally, when it got too boring, he would start a fight with his clone over who would be Hokage. He would always win, of course, regardless of whether he was Tsunami or himself. The big new skill they learned this year was replacement, which Naruto had just learned with his mom's help. Naruto still could not do the normal clone technique. He asked the teacher about it, but there were always 2 students who appeared and started badgering him whenever Naruto tried to get help from him. Naruto suspected that the aide was paying them off somehow, based on how he looked whenever it happened. He attended the kunoichi class as Tsunami, but in his opinion it was a waste of time. Most of it had to do with things like flower arranging that were only valuable for infiltration missions. Despite the aptitude that his special disguise technique would give him for those, he had no desire to specialize in them. Naruto eased up on the classroom pranks, because he did not want to follow the wager with the old man. He did not stop completely, however, because he found it fun. He was still never caught, but he got the blame every time because of his reputation. In his mindscape, his mom taught him chakra sensing using the mind's eye technique in addition to teaching him whirling tides, taijutsu, and seals. It took him 2 months of meditation to get to the point where he could sense anything. Once he figured it out, though, he steadily got better at it. Why do I feel different when I'm Tsunami? One of his clones asked while he was sparring with his mom. The clone was practicing the mind's eye, while several other were doing water walking on the stream in the meadow. It's because you turn into a real girl and have more yin chakra, his mom replied, stopping the sparring. My chakra signature is different? Naruto asked. He had noticed something odd about it, but had not yet put it to words. Kind of, his mother replied. It's the same whether you're Naruto or Tsunami, except that Tsunami has more yin chakra. This makes for an interesting scenario where you look different to human sensors, but not to seals that look at chakra, unless the seal specifically looks at the yin-yang balance. She pulled out her ink and sealing paper kit and drew 2 seals. This first seal is a standard security seal linked to a storage seal. Once activated by someone's chakra, it can only be unlocked by that same person. Pick up a rock and put it in the seal. Naruto as Tsunami did so. Now I want a Naruto clone to unlock it, she said. The clone that had started the conversation did so. The rock came out. This other seal is the same, but modified to sense yin-yang balance, she said. Give it another try. Naruto sealed the same rock into the seal, but the clone could not remove it. Why don't all security seals check for yin-yang balance? He asked. Because it's not stable, she said. Most people's yin-yang balance changes over time. Puberty affects it. So does menopause for women. But even outside of those, everybody's changes slightly over time. There are other markers in a chakra signature that remain stable and are much better for security seals. The changes are usually gradual and small, so the changes don't register to a human sensor, even though yin and yang stand out brightly to a human sensor. Is that why Jishin didn't know it was me when they discovered me as Tsunami? He asked. She nodded. They certainly would have had a sensor look at you. I still have more yang chakra than yin chakra when I'm Tsunami, the clone said. That's because of several reasons, primarily. One is that you're an Uzumaki. We naturally have more yang chakra than normal people. The other is that your father split the Kyuubi in half when he sealed it into you. He put the yang half in you and sealed the yin half in himself, and took it with him into the Shinigami's belly. The Kyuubi's yang chakra would cause your body to make more. The last is that studying is what naturally increases yin chakra and you would rather work out. I wouldn't worry about it though. While women tend to have more yin chakra than men and vice versa with men and yang, there are many exceptions both ways. What does this mean for me as Tsunami? Naruto asked. You might be a little better at genjutsu and have a little less stamina, his mom said. You mean I could finally do the clone technique? He asked. She laughed. Probably not. I never could, and I am more balanced toward yin chakra than you as Tsunami. I'm actually pretty even between yin and yang, and you still have more yang even when you're Tsunami. Will having less stamina as Tsunami hurt me? He asked. Probably not. Not only are you balanced toward yang, you have tons of chakra. You still have a massive amount of stamina as Tsunami. Towards the end of the year, the academy teacher, Iruka, seemed to soften toward Naruto. He decided to give him a chance. Iruka invited him out to dinner at Ikaraka's a few times, which Naruto enjoyed. Iruka tried to be brotherly or fatherly, but he still failed the test his mother had made for him. Whenever he tried to talk to him in class about the clone technique, the aide's henchman distracted him. Whenever he mentioned it outside of class, Iruka said it wouldn't be fair to give him extra help outside of class. When Naruto tried to talk to him about the discrepancy in how he and Tsunami were treated, Iruka brushed him off. I looked into it, Naruto-kun, he said. The tests are the same. Naruto thought about pushing it, but decided to not to rock the boat and keep to his wager with the old man. Iruka's focus on the outings seemed to be to try and make Naruto feel accepted enough to stop pranking. His teacher admitted that he had been a bit of a prankster when he was a kid because he had felt lonely. Naruto thought about letting Iruka catch him in his pranks in order to build more of a bond with him, but discarded the idea since his teacher was still failing the clone test. In the final normal year of the academy, they learned about genjutsu and how to dispel them. Naruto struggled with this as much as he did with the clone technique. He was supposed to stop his chakra flow and then restart it. The problem was that he had so much chakra that it was difficult to stop. There was also a small current in his chakra that made stopping it even harder. He thought it must be related to the seal that kept the fox prisoner. It did not help that the teacher's aide always seemed to be the one that applied the genjutsu on him, and made it harder than the one that Tsunami got. Tsunami managed to dispel the genjutsu about a third of the time, but Naruto never managed it. In his mindscape, his mom taught him another method for dispelling genjutsu. By flaring his chakra, he could force the foreign chakra out of him. Unfortunately, since his mom did not know any genjutsu, he could not test the method out on a real one. She recommended that he not use this other method in class, because it was likely to scare the teachers based on the amount of chakra needed to do it. The other thing that his mom taught him were her chakra chains. Unfortunately, he did not have her special chakra, so his chains, which she called adamant attacking chains, did not suppress chakra. They were still pretty cool though. By this time, he had gotten pretty proficient in the Whirling Tides taijutsu as Tsunami. He started incorporating aspects of it into his taijutsu as Naruto too. His sealing skills had gotten into what his mom called the intermediate range. He'd gotten good at making sealing scrolls and explosive notes. The major thing that happened at the academy early in the 7th year, that did not relate to schoolwork, was the falling out between Sakura and Ino. The two girls blew up at each other over who was worthy of Sasuke-kun. Unlike other arguments between the two, this one did not blow over. This strained the friendship he had with the two as Tsunami, but, as one of two girls in the class that did not fawn over the Uchiha, he became a sort of neutral party since either of them liked Hinata. They thought Hinata was stuck up when she was just incredibly shy. The whole thing rather disgusted him, but he valued his friends. As Tsunami, he visited a shinobi equipment store that his mom had recommended to see if it would buy some basic seals from him. When he told the proprietor, Higurashi-san, his alias, the man asked if he were Kushina's daughter. He responded that the Hokage had asked him not to talk about his parents. Higurashi-san then asked him if he were related to Naruto. Yes, he's my brother, he said. Is that a problem? No. Not if he's her son, the proprietor said with a wink. Good, because he made half of these, he said. This gave him a nice source of income and a fallback career. A couple of months after his 12th birthday, he found an unpleasant surprise when he changed into Tsunami in the morning. He quickly changed back and meditated until he found himself in his mindscape. Mom! He yelled, running into the house. What is it, Naruto-chan? She said. Shouldn't you be going to school? I'm bleeding from my private parts, he yelled. What? She said, surprised. Right now? No, as Tsunami, he responded. She relaxed. That's normal for a girl, although I'm surprised you're going through it. It's normal? He asked incredulously. Haven't you had health class as Tsunami? She asked. No, he said, shaking his head. I think that was the year before I started attending as Tsunami. She sighed and explained to him the monthly cycle. She made him turn back to Tsunami and showed him how to use feminine hygiene products. His mom snickered. You know this means it's likely you can get pregnant, don't you? He blanched. I will tell you something that has saved a few high-level Konoha kunoichi when they ran out of certain supplies, she said. What? Shadow clones don't bleed during their periods, she said. They don't, he said. They still feel bloated and crampy, but they don't bleed, she said. Naruto thought about using shadow clones for Tsunami during the days that Tsunami had her period. I know what you're thinking, his mom said, but remember your deal with the third. No cheating. He pouted. His mom hugged him. It'll be okay. Half the world deals with it. You can too. When he left his mindscape, he sent a shadow clone for feminine hygiene supplies. While he was waiting, he had an evil thought. There was no way he was going to the academy today anyway. Jishin! He shouted as he ran into the Hokage's office as Tsunami. I'm dying. What? The old man exclaimed worriedly. What happened? I'm bleeding from down here for no reason, he said, pointing at his crotch. Are you serious? The Hokage asked, stunned. He sat in his chair for a few moments, and then activated the privacy seal on the office. Well, the Hokage hemmed and hawed for a few long moments and then finally said, You should talk to your mother about this. Naruto couldn't hold it in any longer, and busted up laughing. Naruto, said the Hokage sternly, are you pranking me? Kind of, said Naruto as he struggled to control himself. I really am having my period and I really had no clue what was going on when I first changed to Tsunami this morning, but I already talked to my mom and she explained it to me. The old man shook his head. I can't believe your disguise is that real. I assume you know what this implies, right? Naruto nodded his head soberly. Yeah, Mom already warned me that it was possible I could get pregnant. The old man got an evil glint in his eye. You remember our deal, right? No passing your period off to shadow clones when it's the real you's turn. Naruto sighed. I figured. I am going to play hooky today, though. I feel like I have a mild case of the flu, even disregarding the bleeding. I'll let it go this time, the Hokage said, but only for today. Okay? Naruto nodded. By the end of Tsunami's period, Naruto stopped thinking of himself as male when he changed into her. The period was disgusting and unpleasant, but it was a sort of rite of passage. Naruto felt like he was not pretending to be a girl anymore. His outlook did not really change. Tsunami was a huge tomboy and she did not like the girly things that Sakura and Ino occasionally tried to talk her into doing. The day of the Genin exam was a Naruto day. The teacher's aide was up to his old tricks. The questions on the written exam were too difficult. Most of the kunai and shuriken bounced. Naruto was eliminated quickly in his spar against the aide. He could not dispel the genjutsu, which he guessed was B rank rather than the E rank everyone else got. He did do well in the physical condition portion of the test, but doubted that would be enough. He was waiting for his ninjutsu test when he saw that the clone that had spent most of the day as Tsunami had her new leaf badge, so he knew he would be able to become a shinobi even if he as Naruto failed. He had happened to draw the last spot, but he thought that was the aide's doing in order to prolong the agony. He successfully did a replacement and disguise, but his clones looked half dead. I'm sorry, but you fail, Naruto-kun, Iruka said sadly. Ah, come on, Iruka-kun, the aide said. He did manage to make them. These wouldn't fool anyone, Mizuki-kun, Iruka said. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but you'll have to try again next year. What? He said, I know my sister can't do clones either and you passed her. Naruto-kun, Tsunami-kun passed every other test except the genjutsu, Iruka explained. You failed the written, the taijutsu, the genjutsu, and the throwing test as well. In order to pass you have to pass 4 of the 6 subjects, or get an exceptional grade in either taijutsu or ninjutsu. You just aren't ready yet. I'm sure you'll get it next year. Naruto's temper finally gave out. Hypocrite, he hissed. I know for a fact that my skills are near matches for my sister's. The tests say they aren't, Iruka insisted. You trust the stupid tests? Naruto sneered as he glared at the aide. My taijutsu is better than any other boys in the class except for Kiba and the Uchiha, and you know it. How could I fail a fair test? Iruka just stared at him open-mouthed. I told you there was something wrong with my written tests and the throwing weapons I was using last year, but you never did anything. I checked the tests, Naruto. They were the same as everyone else's, Iruka said. Did you check for genjutsu residues? Naruto asked. Naruto, there wasn't a point. Everyone in the academy is a professional, he insisted. You do realize that your predecessor was fired for purposefully sabotaging my education, don't you? Naruto said. He glared at the aide whose face was too blank. What? Iruka shouted. You didn't know? Naruto asked incredulously. Maybe the corruption runs deeper than I thought, he muttered. He started to turn away and then looked at Iruka. I'll have you know, sensei, that you failed my test too. Huh? Iruka said. Out of all the students in your class, only my sister and I couldn't do the clone technique, but you never tried to find out why. Naruto started walking toward the door. I hope you learn from your mistake and become a better teacher, Iruka-san. I promise, next year, we'll figure out the clone. I won't be coming back, Iruka-san, Naruto said. But your dream, Iruka said. I've decided that it isn't worth all the backstabbing. He glared at the aide. Maybe my sister will fulfill my dream. Hi, Jishin, Naruto said as he walked into the Hokage's office. Hello, Naruto-kun, the old man responded. I've come to report on our wager, Naruto said seriously. The Hokage activated the privacy seals and sighed. I don't have a good feeling about this. I failed every test except physical condition and maybe ninjutsu, depending on how they scored it, he reported. And Tsunami? The old man asked. Passed everything except genjutsu dispelling and the clone technique. The Hokage sighed. I thought for sure that Iruka-kun would treat you fairly. He did, said Naruto. He was just too trusting of his ratfink aide, Mizuki. Mizuki used a genjutsu on my written tests, and another one to hide that he was giving me dull throwing weapons. The genjutsus he cast on me to dispel were B rank rather than E rank, from what I can tell. Not that it would have mattered, I can't dispel the E-rank ones the standard way normally. Did you talk to Iruka or the headmaster about it? The old man asked. Naruto nodded. I told Iruka there was something wrong with the weapons and that I was getting much harder written tests than Tsunami. He did a shallow investigation and then wrote it off as sour grapes. The Hokage put the flat of his palm against his forehead. I thought I had the academy straightened out. He turned to Naruto. You should have told me, even if it messed up your game with Tsunami. Naruto chuckled ruefully. That reminds me, I kind of blew up at Iruka when he told me I failed. He said that he didn't know that my old teacher was fired for sabotaging me. The old man groaned. The headmaster must have been trying to sweep it under the rug to save face. Oh, and Mizuki knows that I know he was sabotaging me, Naruto added. He also had 2 students who helped out distracting Iruka. Alright, I'll have someone deal with him, the Hokage said. Who were the accomplices? Sato and Inu. The Hokage leaned forward over his desk. Are you sure you want to go through with our wager, Naruto-kun? I can give you a retest, or even just say that I did on the basis of Tsunami passing. Naruto nodded slowly. I want to try living without all the hate, Jishin. Tsunami isn't treated perfectly, because she's my sister, but she's treated a lot better than I am as me. Even since she's been around, I've been treated a little better. I think I appear more human because I have a sister. Everyone my age knows me as the dead last, while Tsunami is acknowledged as a serious shinobi. I want to escape my reputation too. I'm going to do it, at least for a while. What will you do as Naruto? The Hokage asked. I assume you're not going back to the academy. Mom pointed me to a shinobi supply store. I showed the proprietor, old man Higurashi, some seals I made and he was interested in buying them. I'm getting close to what Mom calls advanced Fuinjutsu. I should be able to supplement the mission pay I get as Tsunami decently doing that. I'll probably see if there are any others that are interested. I'll get you an interview with our ANBU quartermaster as well, the old man said. Thanks, Jishin. The old man had a nasty smirk on his face. You know, Naruto-kun, only official shinobi can engage in shinobi activities such as Fuinjutsu. Academy students are just about the only ones who are exempt. Naruto frowned. Jishin, are you seriously going to take this away from me? The old man coughed. If I could offer a potential solution? Naruto nodded. I make you a genin, but put you on the reserve list instead of assigning you to a team. That way you officially have basic shinobi privileges so you can make your seals under your real name, but it doesn't interfere with your experiment. It also provides you with an out that doesn't blow your secret if you decide to end your experiment. Naruto sighed. Okay, Jishin. That sounds okay. Anything else? The Hokage nodded. I'll be telling your Jounin sensei the truth about you and Tsunami. They need to know in case something happens. Also, give your team a real overview of your abilities, but ask them not to spread it around. I'd like to keep the fact that you're Kushina's child obscure to the general population for as long as we can. Naruto grimaced. I don't like it, but I understand, Jishin. That night Naruto told his mom the results of the genin exam. Oh, Naruto-chan, she said. I'm so sorry. He shrugged it off. I'm actually okay. At this point I'd rather just skip the drama as much as possible. Jishin put the real me in the reserves so that I could make seals and sell them to shinobi shops. If I decide to end the experiment, I can pick up where I left off without too many problems. Well, she said, I'm glad the Hokage had the foresight to think of that, because I'm sure it wasn't your idea. Hey! He protested. His mom laughed. You get your lack of strategic planning from me. That's why I was never too upset when your father became Hokage instead of me. He was much better suited for it. She grinned. But I still wore the pants in the family, Hokage or not. Naruto rolled his eyes. Hey, since I'm a genin now, can you teach me the shortcut to creating lots of shadow clones? That's hardly a genin-level technique, Naruto-chan, she said. He transformed into a 6-year-old version of Tsunami. Please, mama? She gave her mother her best puppy dog eyes. Her mom giggled. Stop that, brat. She lightly swatted the back of Naruto's head. Well, you certainly have the chakra for it. Okay, I'll teach it to you and lift your restrictions on the number of shadow clones you can make. Just be careful. Okay? Naruto aged into her 12-year-old girl form. I will. Okay. This is how you do the multi-shadow clone technique. You use the same clone hand seal, but instead of pinching off your chakra into portions, you set up a series of regular peaks and valleys like a sine wave in the chakra you focus through the hand seal. She drew an example on the ground with her chakra to make sure Naruto knew what she was talking about. Trigonometry was important for sealing. The number of peaks is the number of shadow clones you make. Naruto nodded and got to work. The next Monday, Naruto as Tsunami went to the academy for team assignments. She was excited to be a real shinobi. A part of her was disappointed that she was not doing it with her true face, but the rest of her was giddy with the idea of pulling the biggest prank ever as well as being treated as a normal kid. She wondered what her Jounin sensei would think of her. If she were being honest with herself, she would have to admit that she was extremely nervous because of the fox and her real disguise. She arrived a little early and sat down next to Hinata. It had been useless to try and sit next to Sakura or Ino for most of this year, since they inevitably fought over who got to sit next to the Uchiha. Sure enough, not long after she took her seat, she heard them arguing at the door. Sakura managed to get into the room first and smugly sat down next to Sasuke. Ino argued loudly with her until Iruka came in and used his big head technique to quiet the class down. As Iruka was about to start, Miyagi called out, "Where are Sato-san and Inu-san?" They passed. "Mizuki-san is involved in an investigation, which is why he's not here," Iruka explained. Sato-san and Inu-san were called in as witnesses. The class silently digested that. Most of them knew that Sato and Inu were Mizuki's stooges. Naruto was pleased to hear that Mizuki was getting his just desserts. Iruka gave a speech on the responsibilities they now had as genin and how important their teammates were to their success. He wished them luck. Tsunami noticed that he would glance at her with a guilty look occasionally. He wondered if that was from the chewing out she gave him as Naruto or if the Hokage had also talked to him. When it came time to announce the teams, she listened with half an ear until her daydreams were interrupted by the shrieks of the fangirls when the Uchiha was assigned to an all-male team. She could swear she saw the corners of his mouth twitch up slightly for a second or two. Ino and Sakura both offered to take Shino or Kiba's place so that Sasuke-kun wouldn't have to be on a team with losers. Iruka denied them. Her team was announced next. Team 8, Haruno Sakura, Hyuga Hinata, and Uzumaki Tsunami. An all-kunoichi team? Interesting. She wondered if their sensei would be a kunoichi as well. The team assignments ended with Ino complaining about getting stuck with a repeat of her dad's team. She loudly offered to trade with Sakura, because even the shy girl was better than the lazy bum and the bottomless pit. Iruka stopped that by repeating that all team assignments were final. Hinata and Naruto ate lunch together. Sakura was off trying to eat with Sasuke. Hinata looked like she was trying to ask Tsunami something, but she never managed to get the nerve to do it. After lunch, everyone met in the classroom again. At precisely 1 o'clock, the door opened and a dark-haired woman stood in the doorway. She was very pretty, but dressed oddly in an outfit that appeared to be made out of strips of bandages. Her piercing red eyes lingered on Naruto's before she said, "Team 8, follow me please." As they left, they saw several other adult shinobi approaching the classroom. Their presumed sensei led the girls out into the field behind the academy where she gestured for them to sit. "I'd like to start with introductions," she said. "I'll start. My name is Yohi Kurnai. I'm known as Konoha's Genjutsu mistress. I'm a fairly new jounin, but I'm excited to be your sensei. I like crafting new genjutsu. I dislike perverts. One of my goals is to show that kunoichi can be just as good as male shinobi. This year there was an unusual number of talented female graduates, so I asked Hokage-sama if I could make an all-kunoichi team and he graciously granted this team to me. I already know Hinata-chan and I'd like to get to know the rest of you. Sakura-san, please go next. Tell me your skills, likes, dislikes, and goals." Sakura sat up straight and said, "My name is Haruno Sakura. Iruka-sensei said I have really good chakra control and I can do all the ninjutsu we were taught really well. I like." She glanced toward the academy and blushed. "I hate Ino Pig," she shouted. "My goal is." She glanced back toward the academy and blushed harder. Kurinai frowned deeply at her response. "You can go next, Hinata-chan." Hinata shrank into herself a little, but said, "My name is Hyuga Hinata. I know my clan's taijutsu style, the gentle fist, and I have my clan's bloodline ability, the Byakugan. I like my sister and pressing flowers. I dislike bullies and when family doesn't get along. My goal is to turn my clan into a real family." She spoke quietly with a stutter. She kept pressing her fingers together in her standard nervous habit. By the end, she was almost whispering. Kurinai looked at her with encouragement before turning to Tsunami. "You next, Tsunami-san." Tsunami sat up straight and smiled brightly. "My name is Uzumaki Tsunami. I know one of my clan's specialized taijutsu styles, the Whirling Tide style, the Shadow Clone technique, one of my clan's special ninjutsu, the Adamantine attacking chains, some sealing techniques up to about intermediate level, and I can sense chakra to about 200 meters. Hokage-sama has asked that we keep the fact that my brother and I are from the real Uzumaki clan a secret for as long as possible, so please don't pass my skills on to anyone. I like my brother, ramen, and finding out about my clan. I dislike the 3 minutes it takes to cook instant ramen, bigots, and bullies. My goal is to surpass all the previous Hokages. You're from a clan? Sakura exclaimed. Why doesn't anyone know? My clan was mostly wiped out in the Second Shinobi War, and my mom was kidnapped by Kumo because of some characteristics of our clan that they wanted when she was young, so the Hokage was keeping it on the down low. Hinata shrank into herself even more at the mention of Kumo. What characteristics are those, Tsunami-chan? Sakura asked. Long life and high chakra reserves, she replied. Thank you, all of you, Kurinai said. I'm sorry to say that you aren't quite genin. We passed the test, Kurinai-sensei, Sakura protested. That was just a preliminary screening test, to see if you had the basic skills in order to be a shinobi. Tomorrow I will be testing you to make sure you have the basic qualities that Konoha looks for in its representatives. Please meet at Training Ground 8 tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. Before you leave, I'd like to talk to each of you individually. She made the clone hand seal and 2 shadow clones popped into existence. One of them said, Tsunami-san, please follow me. When they were some ways away, Kurinai asked, do you mind if we talk in your apartment? Naruto shook her head no and led her home. When they got there, she deactivated the security seals on her apartment and led her inside. Have a seat, sensei, she said, gesturing to a couch. Kurinai looked at her for several moments before saying, I have to admit, Naruto-san, that when Hokage-sama told me who Tsunami really was, I was disappointed. Naruto scowled. Kurinai continued, not because I had anything against you, personally, but because I thought Tsunami was a real girl and I thought we could have the first all-kunoichi team that Konoha has had in 15 years. Naruto sighed. When I'm a girl, I'm a real girl. I'm actually experiencing the end of my period right now. I don't feel comfortable showing you, but if you want you can check out my trash for evidence. That won't be necessary, Kurinai said. Hokage-sama said that the transformation was complete, but I'm not sure how that is possible without a horrendous chakra drain. I think being able to do a true transformation is an ability my tenant gives me. I've had some indication that my mom, who was its previous jailer, had the same ability. Based on legend, that is an ability that kitsune have. Kurinai sighed. Hokage-sama ordered me to accept you into my team as Tsunami. I'd much rather have you on it as Naruto, but I'll deal with it. She stared into Tsunami's eyes. However, if I catch you using Tsunami's form to perv on me or the other girls, I'll place you in one of my worst genjutsu and kick you off the team so fast, your head will spin. Hey, I'm not like that, she protested. Besides, Mom would kill me if she found out, she thought to herself. I'm just trying to escape a horrible life that I didn't deserve. Kurinai's look softened. I'm not unsympathetic to your situation. Hokage-sama told me some of what has happened to you, but I will not accept you using it to take advantage of the others, okay? She nodded. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow then. Good luck. That evening just after dinner there was a knock on the door. Tsunami went and answered it. Irika stood at the door looking embarrassed. Hi, Irika-sensei, she said cheerfully. She did not really dislike the man, but she was irritated with him and figured that being cheerful would make him squirm. Hi, Tsunami-kun, he said. Is your brother here? Can I speak to him privately? Sure, she said. I'll go get him from his room. She went back into Naruto's room and created a shadow clone. She transformed into her birth form and sent his clone into Tsunami's room while he returned to the front room. Hello, Irika-san, he said. What can I do for you? I came to apologize, Naruto-san, he started. Okay, Naruto agreed. I accept. That's it? Irika protested. Yep, Naruto answered. I know you didn't try to keep me down maliciously, Irika-sensei. He noticed Irika's eyes light up when he called him sensei. I'm sorry for blowing up at you. As long as we both learn from the situation, it's all good. Will you be requesting a retest then? Irika asked. Or are you going to be joining us at the academy next school year? Hokage-sama already retested me, Naruto said. Whose team are you joining? The teacher asked. None, Naruto said. I'm going straight to the reserves. What? Irika exclaimed. Why? I'm tired of dealing with the prejudice, Irika-sensei. My time in the academy was a test to see if I could fit in and Konoha failed. The only reason I accepted a commission is because I enjoy Fuinjutsu, and have found a buyer for the seals that Tsunami-chan and I make. You aren't allowed to do Fuinjutsu if you aren't a shinobi. But Iruka was starting to get upset. Don't worry about it, Iruka-sensei. I don't like to hold grudges. Maybe I'll try again in a few years, perhaps after I get a reputation as an awesome seal maker. You know Fuinjutsu? Iruka asked. Naruto nodded. Yep. I'm pretty decent too. I'm getting pretty good at the ones in my intermediate level books. How did you manage that? Iruka asked. We found some books. I understand that my clan was pretty good at it, so I studied extra hard. Tsunami and I seem to have some talent with them. The Hokage gave us some help with them. Granted that the help was mostly after the fact, but Iruka could not be told about his mom's help. Iruka sighed. I see. Would you mind if I came around to take you out to ramen again sometimes? I'd like that, Naruto said with a smile. I also owe you the reason why you haven't been able to make clones, Iruka added. Naruto laughed. Don't worry about it, Iruka-sensei. I already know the reason. You do? What is it? I have too much chakra and my chakra is too dense, Naruto explained. I have a hard time doing genjutsus, especially if they require very little chakra. Despite its classification, the clone technique is more genjutsu than ninjutsu. Too much chakra? Iruka said incredulously. Sometimes I really overpowered it, just to see if you would notice, Naruto admitted. But an academy student shouldn't have a problem overpowering that technique, Iruka protested. Naruto snorted. I have 2 strikes against me. I'm an Uzumaki and we have more chakra than anyone, which is why my sister also can't do it, and my prisoner stretched out my chakra coils. Your test is biased against my clan and me in particular. Why didn't you say anything? Iruka demanded. I told you it was a test, Naruto said. I may be a bit of a clown, but I'm not stupid enough to bull my way into an organization where I'm not wanted. The academy isn't representative of Konoha's shinobi, Iruka protested. It's staffed by Konoha's shinobi, isn't it? Naruto countered. But like I said, I'll probably give Konoha's shinobi another chance at some point. Iruka sighed and stood up. Take care of yourself, Naruto-kun. I'll keep in touch. You too. Thanks for stopping by and for the apology, Iruka-sensei, Naruto responded. Give my best wishes to your sister as well. A couple of hours later there was another knock on the door. When he answered it, a silver-haired man in a standard Konoha shinobi outfit was there. The man wore his leaf badge on his forehead and had it slanted so it covered one eye. He wore a mask that covered the lower half of his face. Naruto recognized his chakra as belonging to the dog A&B that had sometimes guarded him, or the Hokage when he was younger. Hello, Naruto-kun, he said. Can I come in and talk to you? Sure, Naruto said, and pointed him toward the front room's only sofa. My name is Hitaki Kakashi. I was supposed to be your Jounin-sensei. Naruto recognized the name from his mom's stories. He raised an eyebrow. I wasn't aware that I was expected to graduate. Hokage-sama told us you were much better than the academy reported and left a spot open for you. There was some reshuffling that had to be done when you didn't initially pass. I see, Naruto said. He waited for Kakashi to continue. Hokage-sama told me you passed the retest, but decided to directly enter the reserves instead. I'd like to know why. Why do you want to know? Naruto asked. Only a couple of people have ever thought I'd amount to anything. He thought it was probably because the man had been his dad's student, but wanted to see how much he would say. Let me ask something in return, Kakashi countered. Why did you let me in? I recognized you from when I was younger. You did? Kakashi looked surprised. Chakra sensor, Naruto said. Ah, Kakashi said. He hesitated for a few moments. I wanted you on my team because I owe your parents a debt, and this is the first time I've really been permitted to try and repay it. You knew my parents? Naruto asked excitedly, playing his part. I did, Kakashi said with a smile. However, I'm not allowed to say anything. You'll have to ask Hokage-sama about them. Naruto pouted. He always says I'm too young. Kakashi ruffled his hair. You'll grow up soon enough. So, why did you want to go straight to the reserves? I'm tired of being hated for something that's not my fault, he said. Jishin says that Konoha's shinobi are different than the civilians, but I'm not convinced based on my teachers. Only Iruka-sensei treated me decently, and the headmaster and the other 3 teachers kept trying to hold me down. Not a very reassuring percentage. Did you come to try and convince me to join your team? Kakashi sighed. I would like to, but I can't really ditch the team I have at this point. Naruto smiled. Kiba was a friend of sorts, and even if Shino was not friendly, per se, he was polite. He did not really like Sasuke, but he did not want to cause problems for the troubled boy. Why didn't you ask for my sister? Naruto asked curiously. Hokage-sama wouldn't let you both be on the same team, and when the reshuffle happened, Kurenai-chan wouldn't give her up, and I wasn't allowed to say anything that might convince her otherwise. Naruto nodded. Thanks for stopping by, Kakashi-san. It's getting late and Tsunami-chan will wake me up when she gets up tomorrow morning. Kakashi said, Take care, Naruto-kun. The next morning, Naruto as Tsunami got to training ground 8 at 6:30. Hinata was already there and Sakura showed up within seconds of her. Hello, Sakura-chan, Hinata-chan, she greeted her teammates. They returned greetings. Hinata looked nervous, but that was normal for her. Sakura looked pensive. Something wrong, Sakura-chan? She asked. Just thinking, the pink-haired girl said. I've never seen you this worried about something, Tsunami said. Sakura grimaced. Kurenai-sensei questioned my dedication to being a shinobi yesterday after our meeting. This is about your crush on Sasuke, isn't it? The redhead asked. It's not just a crush, Sakura snapped. Tsunami held up her hands. I'm not going to fight you about whether your feelings are real or not. I'm just saying that trying to attract a boy is not a good reason to be a kunoichi. The world is cruel and enemy shinobi are not going to give you a pass because you're only in it for a boy. I'm not a kunoichi just for Sasuke-kun, Sakura shouted. I'm a kunoichi because I want to be able to fight for myself and my family. Good for you, Naruto said. Make sure you take it seriously. Both of my parents were killed in action despite being very powerful shinobi. If you don't take training seriously, you'll probably die and take Hinata-chan and me down with you. Sakura grimaced. Yeah, Kurenai-sensei said something similar. Tsunami turned to Hinata. You're from a big shinobi family, Hinata-chan. Do you have any ideas about what the test is about? Her mother had refused to give her any hints when she had asked in her mindscape. Hinata poked her fingers together. My family doesn't talk to me much, she stuttered. I don't believe they think I'll pass. Nonsense, Tsunami exclaimed. We'll work together and help each other pass. Right, Sakura-chan? Sakura nodded. Remember what Iruka-sensei said yesterday? Naruto prompted. He said that teammates were critical to our success as shinobi. We should start working together today. Hinata gave her a timid smile. They worked out some rough tactics if the test involved combat. Hinata would take point with Tsunami backing her up at mid-range and Sakura supporting the two of them from longer range. Hinata tried to say that Tsunami was better at close range, but Tsunami disagreed. I know the only reason I beat you in spars in the academy was because you were holding back, Hinata-chan, she said. You're too nice. Don't worry, I'll beat the niceness out of you. At least for fighting. You can be as nice as you want off duty. Naruto grinned at her to let her know that she was teasing her. You'll beat the niceness out of her? Sakura said incredulously. Well, not really, Tsunami answered. I have a gift that makes anyone want to clobber me. Just ask my brother. Come to think of it, he has it too. It was true, her clones could infuriate her. Hinata giggled behind her raised hand. Sakura snorted. I can believe that. Your brother is annoying. Naruto frowned. How would you know? You haven't really talked to him since he rescued you from bullies. Sakura chuckled nervously. He told you about that? It's not that I wasn't grateful, it's just that he's so loud and orange. Tsunami rolled her eyes. Sakura was one to talk about loudness. And orange was a great color. She was sad that her mother had vetoed orange going with her red hair. She did admit that the jumpsuits were not flattering at all. She had started wearing them to get attention and had never stopped even after deciding that it wasn't worth it. He saved me from bullies too, Hinata said quietly. She turned bright red when the other two looked at her. Tsunami still was not sure what Hinata thought about her other self. She always clammed up and turned red whenever she asked. They talked for another few minutes when Kurenai appeared in a swirl of leaves. I'm glad to see that you're all on time, she said with a smile. She pulled out a pink, a red, and a black ball as well as a timer. There are 3 baskets with lids on them in the training ground. They're color-coded to the balls. She tossed a ball to each girl. The balls match their hair colors. The object of the test is to place your ball in the right color basket within half an hour. The only rule is that you have to place your own ball yourself. You can't use a clone to do it for you, Tsunami. Since this is the only rule, I'm not going to answer any questions. I will be trying to stop you, so do your best. Anyone who fails this test will be sent back to the academy or dropped from the program regardless of how your potential teammates do. Understand? All three girls said yes. Kurenai placed the timer and started it. She disappeared in a puff of smoke. Shadow clone, Tsunami said. How do you know it wasn't a genjutsu? Sakura asked. I can't be certain, but I'm actually pretty good at sensing them thanks to my chakra sensing technique, Naruto said. I just can't dispel them subtly. We're working together, right? We'll go to whichever basket is closest first, okay? Hinata quickly nodded. Sakura followed suit after a second's hesitation. Hinata-chan, can you see the baskets with your bloodline? Naruto asked. Hinata pointed them out after activating her Byakugan. They were all about equal distance. Sakura's was on the left, Hinata's in the middle, and hers on the right. We'll start with Sakura-chan's and work our way clockwise, Naruto said. Okay, the other two answered. They started toward the basket, which was about 100 meters away, just within the edge of the woods that made up some of the training ground. Naruto extended her senses using the mind's eye technique. She could feel chakra in the air around them. She pulsed her chakra strongly, sending it out. The feel of the chakra dissipated, but some remained. The chakra increased. She's layering genjutsu faster than I can dispel them, Naruto muttered to the others. I can see through them with my bloodline, Hinata said, but I don't know if I can keep it up the whole time. Do it as much as you can, Tsunami directed. The next 10 minutes were extremely frustrating. Hinata did her best to lead them through the genjutsus, but the terrain was littered with traps. Naruto and Sakura both got caught multiple times and had to be freed. Tsunami was kicking herself at not scouting the training ground out ahead of time. Then she kicked herself again. She only said I couldn't use clones to place the balls, Tsunami groaned. She quickly made 20 shadow clones and set them out to disarm traps. The clones did not last long due to kunai and shuriken strikes, but Naruto kept replacing them. It took them another 7 minutes to get to Sakura's basket. With a pleased sigh, Sakura placed her ball. Let's get Hinata-chan's done, Tsunami said. There's only about 10 minutes left, Tsunami-chan, Hinata said. Maybe we should split up. Tsunami shook her head. There's no way we could do it alone, Hinata-chan. One of us could never make it without help. We'll do it together, okay? They fought through the traps and genjutsu. Sadly, Hinata's chakra got too low to keep using the Byakugan. With less than a minute to go, they finally reached where Hinata's basket was supposed to be. To their delight, Tsunami's basket was right beside Hinata's. They both placed their balls just before they heard the timer go off. They heard clapping as all the genjutsu dissipated. Very good, girls, Kurenai said. There's just one more part of the test. Naruto rolled her eyes. Sakura groaned. Hinata pushed her fingers together nervously. The last part of the test is for you to tell me what the point of the test was, she said. It wasn't the balls? Sakura asked. Not the balls, Naruto said. It appears to be something trickier or she wouldn't have asked. It was to see how we would do the challenge, Hinata stuttered nervously. Whether we would work together. Hinata and Sakura looked at the Hyuga princess. That's why the last two baskets were together, Hinata said. If we had split up, one of us would have failed. Naruto snapped her fingers. She never said what would fail us. I bet if one of us failed then the others would too, right? Sakura said. There are no teams with less than 3 genin. Kurenai smiled. That's correct, all of you. Additionally, you would have failed if you had tried to pass individually regardless of whether you fulfilled the apparent goals. If you had worked together, I may have passed you even without getting the balls in the baskets. Did we pass, Kurenai-sensei? Tsunami asked. Yes, you did, she replied. Welcome to Team 8. Tsunami whooped in celebration. Sakura yelled, yes. Hinata smiled shyly. I'm giving you the rest of the day off, Kurenai said. We'll meet here again tomorrow at the same time for training and missions. She smiled again. Congratulations. As the 4 of them made to depart, Hinata nervously asked Tsunami, Tsunami-chan, can I talk to you, please? Sure, Hinata-chan, she answered. Naruto as Tsunami followed Hinata to a place where they could talk. The Hyuga girl was clearly nervous. She kept pushing her fingers together, which was her biggest nervous habit other than her stutter. They reached a clearing in the training ground that had enough visibility that they could clearly see if they were being spied on. When they sat down, Hinata looked like she was going to ask Tsunami something before closing her mouth. Finally, Tsunami asked gently, "What did you want to talk to me about, Hinata-chan?" The other girl prevaricated for a few moments before asking in a rush, "How is your brother taking having to go back to the academy again?" Naruto was a little stunned. Hinata had asked about her real self before, but usually just small things. She actually seemed worried about him. "Oh, he's not going back," Tsunami said absently. Hinata started to hyperventilate. "He gave up," she gasped. "What?" "No," Tsunami said, concerned for her friend. "We finally found why we couldn't do the clone technique. Too much chakra. The Hokage tested him using a different type of clone and he passed." Hinata seemed to calm down. "Which team is he on?" "Oh, he went straight to the reserves," Tsunami said. "Why?" Hinata stammered, agitated. "What about his dreams of being Hokage?" "He's not giving those up," Tsunami said. "It's just that he noticed that he isn't treated very well by our peers or the teachers. It happens that both of us are very good at sealing. He thought it would be prudent to improve his reputation by becoming well known as a talented sealer. Once his reputation has improved, he'll join the active forces." She paused and then added sassily, "Of course, he still has to contend with me if he wants to be Hokage." Hinata looked relieved and finally relaxed. "Why are you so interested in Naruto?" Tsunami asked. "You never really hung out with anyone except me." The dark-haired girl blushed furiously and poked her fingers together some more. Tsunami was struck by an image of a shy version of Sakura talking about Sasuke. "You like him?" Tsunami said, astonished. "Well, yes," Hinata stuttered. "He would be a very good friend, but I'm too shy." "No, you like him," the redhead restated. Hinata's blush turned even redder. "You can't tell him," she hissed. Okay, Tsunami said, holding up her hands. Inside, Naruto did not know what to do with this information. "Why, though? You seem to mostly ignore him like everyone else." Hinata looked at the ground. "I'm too shy and weak. I didn't think he would want to talk to me." Tsunami lifted the other girl's chin. "You're not weak, Hinata-chan. It's true that you're shy, but that can be overcome. Naruto has so few friends that he would have welcomed anyone." Hinata tried to sink into herself again, but Tsunami asked, "Why him instead of Sasuke like everyone else?" Rallying herself a little, Hinata rolled her eyes. "The Uchiha is pretty, but shallow. He has everything he wants offered him, but he just sits and broods. He's not the only orphan, but he acts like he is. Naruto, on the other hand, has nothing except you." Hinata's eyes started to shine. "Things don't come easy to him, but he works hard and never gives up." Tsunami was touched that she had managed to inspire the other girl. She started to smile to herself when the reality of starting a relationship of that kind with Hinata came crashing down on her. Hinata was as close to a princess as Konoha had, while her other self was the village pariah. Hinata's family would never allow it, even if they did not hate him for the fox. But more than that, she did not feel that she could start a relationship as Naruto while being a teammate as Tsunami, at least not without confessing, which she absolutely did not want to do at this point. "I'm glad my brother has inspired you, Hinata-chan," she said tentatively. "Have you considered what your family would say if you tried to date Naruto?" Hinata looked stricken. "You're saying I should give up?" "I'm not saying that," Tsunami said gently. "I'm saying that now is not the time. We're only 12. We have several years before we should really be thinking about marriage or anything like it. What would happen to your position in your clan if you decided to date Naruto?" "I'd be given the caged bird seal," she said tearfully. "There are already many of the clan elders who think I should be given it so that Hanabi-chan can be the heir." "I don't think Naruto would be able to take it if he were the cause of you getting that awful seal. Now, if Naruto becomes the Hokage or improves his standing in another way," Tsunami said, "it would be different." "But that could be too late," Hinata said. Tsunami nodded. "It could. One of you could be married by that time or something else could happen. I don't think you should pin your hopes on Naruto, Hinata-chan. You don't really know him." "I do," Hinata protested with a blush. "I've watched him from afar." "The mask he shows everyone isn't the real Naruto," Tsunami said. She wondered to herself if there actually were a real Naruto or just different masks. "I know that," Hinata said. "That's why I like him. He tries to make everyone else happy by smiling and playing jokes, even when he's hurting inside. Tsunami pulled Hinata up by the arms and gave her a hug. You need to find your own strength, Hinata-chan. That's what Naruto and I have done, even though we support each other. Drawing strength from Naruto won't help you much unless you can find it in yourself to emulate the part of him that inspires you. I'll help you, of course, but I won't always be there. This is something you have to do, if you want it to last. Okay, Tsunami-chan, Hinata said. Thanks for listening to me. No problem, Hinata-chan, she said with a wide grin. I'm happy to do it. You'll see how strong you really are. You don't need a boy to do that, even if he's as awesome as my brother. Hinata giggled. As awesome as his orange jumpsuit was for getting attention, even Naruto had to admit that it was not very professional. In order to impress the shinobi supply storekeepers that he was serious, he would need a new outfit. After she was done talking to Hinata, Tsunami went to a clothing shop. She could have gone to a shinobi supply store, but the place she had in mind was cheaper, and she was not concerned about getting something durable. She browsed through the shinobi aisles until she found something that she liked that would fit on her original form. She picked out a green light jacket with decent-sized pockets and navy blue pants with an orange stripe. She got 3 sets. She went to the counter and paid. As she was picking up her purchases, she saw the moment when the storekeeper recognized her as the demon brat's sister. Most civilians seemed to pity her, which made her angry. A few thought that she might be a demon too, but they seemed to be rare. You know that thing is not really your brother, he said. He must have realized who she was buying the clothes for. I did not realize you were a more talented shinobi than the 4th Hokage, Mr. Civilian Shopkeeper, she sneered. Why would you say such a thing? The man said, offended. The 4th declared that my brother was a hero for protecting us from that, she explained. By saying that that is my brother, you spit on the 4th's skill as a seal master and deny his last wishes. But everyone says, the man said defensively. Does that everyone include the 3rd Hokage or Jiraiya-sama? She interrupted. Shinobi who actually know how sealing works. The next time a shinobi buys from your shop, ask her if a storage seal becomes the object sealed into it. Don't expect me or my friends to shop here again. She marched out the door. Her threat was mostly empty. She did not have much influence. Hinata would be offended at the man, but she did not imagine that Hinata did her own shopping. She did not think that Sakura or Ino would change any habits on her brother's behalf. Really, the only one she could expect to join in her boycott would be Irika, if she bothered to tell him. The next morning, Tsunami and her teammates met their new sensei at their training ground. Thank you for being on time, Kurinai said. Reputation and first impressions are very important for shinobi. You always want to appear competent to your clients, and punctuality is a big part of this. I've heard Chunin complain that there's a jounin that's late to everything, sensei, Tsunami commented. When you have the reputation that Sharingan no Kakashi does and can back it up, then you can develop quirks like that, Kurinai said with a frown. The only reason he gets away with it is because he can't really be replaced. That's not true of any of you. Now, every team has a primary role in the village. The Densetsu no Sannin were a heavy combat team. The Ino Shikacho were a capture and interrogation team. The current team with their children is intended for the same role. Can any of you guess what this team's projected role is? The 3 kunoichi looked at each other, and then shook their heads. It's fine if you don't know yet, their sensei said. I picture this team used for scouting and skirmishing. Can you tell me why? Well, Hinata-chan has the Byakugan and I can make a lot of shadow clones, Tsunami said. Those are both very useful for scouting. That's correct, said Kurinai. And the skirmishing? Skirmishers use hit and run tactics to wear down an enemy, said Sakura, usually in support of a heavy combat group. That's true in a war, Sakura-san, Kurinai said. For team missions, it means that we're more like to get combat missions that require us to move quickly and travel light. We usually won't be assigned hard targets other than in support of other teams. The 3 girls nodded. Now, just like teams have roles, individuals on teams have roles, she continued. I'd like each of you to suggest what your role on the team should be, starting with Hinata-chan, and then Tsunami-san, and lastly Sakura-san. Most of my techniques are close range other than the Byakugan, Hinata stuttered. My techniques are close range and mid-range, Tsunami said. I would probably be best backing up Hinata-chan or taking secondary targets. I also have shadow clones, which are a very useful support tool with the numbers I can make. I don't really have any unique techniques yet, Sakura said with a frown, but from what I've read I expect I would be good at genjutsu or medical techniques. I'm pretty good at throwing weapons too, so I expect that I should take a support role. Those are all excellent observations, Kurinai said. Those are also the roles you used in yesterday's test, which I think worked well. They spent the rest of the day showing Kurinai and each other their skills. Tsunami showed them her taijutsu, adamantine attacking chains, and shadow clones, including her skill with replacing her shadow clones. Out of the three of them, Tsunami had the most skills by far, followed by Hinata, who had her advanced taijutsu and her eyes. Sakura only had the basic academy skills. After Kurinai let them go, Naruto returned to her apartment, and then changed into her original form. He had a meeting with the Hokage and the ANBU quartermaster. The quartermaster, who wore a squirrel mask, was receptive to buying seals from him. Naruto offered variations on storage seals and explosive notes that had different triggers and functionality than the standard ones. He also had paralysis seals, element storage and conversion seals, privacy seals, and communication seals. Squirrel was impressed the most by the rate at which he could produce the seals. I'll be honest, the ANBU said. We already have a couple of suppliers that give us all of these seals, none of them are super advanced. However, we do have trouble keeping some of them in stock, due to how slow our suppliers are. I'd definitely like to contract you as a supplier, if your work tests out. They haggled a little in order to set a price list as well as a projected first order. To the ANBU's annoyance, the Hokage helped Naruto haggle. After that, they set an appointment for when Naruto could demonstrate his wares. After Squirrel left, Naruto remained to shoot the breeze with his grandpa figure. They were interrupted by the door slamming open. A figure even shorter than Naruto rushed into the room before tripping over its long scarf. The boy, who looked 8 years old, picked himself up and looked around. It was you! You tripped me! He yelled, pointing at Naruto. Naruto shook his head. He did not know if the kid was blaming him because he was available, or indirectly due to his furry problem. Whatever, kid, he said dismissively. The kid looked indignant at being ignored and shouted, Don't you know who I am? I'm the Hokage's grandson. Naruto looked at the boy with contempt. I don't care if you're his grandmother, you lose points in my book for banking on his name instead of your own. The boy gaped at him open-mouthed. Naruto hated people who used their friends' or family's reputation to try and get by. He himself was the son of the 4th Hokage and the great-grandson of the last daimyo of Yuzuno Kuni. Even if he were not forbidden from mentioning either of those, he would not. He wanted to succeed by his own prowess. He brushed by a shinobi in his mid-20s wearing sunglasses, inside. Watch where you're going, ruffian, the man said. Naruto snorted. The man was obviously not one of his fans. Whether due to the fox or his pranks, it did not really matter to Naruto. The man obviously cared about image more than anything. Naruto lazily walked through the village without a destination. He was ignored rather than shunned. People's eyes passed over him passively rather than actively. He felt indifference rather than hate. He sighed. Things would probably go back to normal once people realized that he had changed his standard outfit. Naruto's sixth sense was telling him that something was off. There was no danger, just something weird. He looked around and saw a square box with eye holes following him. He used his mind's eye technique to determine that it was the kid from the Hokage's office. You can come out now, brat, he said. Just what I would expect from my rival, the boy said as he used a poorly made smoke bomb to cover his escape from his hiding spot. Rival? Naruto asked, perplexed. Yes, shouted the boy. Jishin told me that you wished to be Hokage too. Hokage, huh? Naruto said. Why do you want to be Hokage? So that people will acknowledge me for me, he proclaimed. The only time I'm not dismissed for being a kid is when people know who my grandpa is. He named me Konohamaru after the village, but I'm only ever called honorable grandson. I want to step outside his shadow. That's a lousy reason to want to be Hokage, brat, Naruto said. If you just want acknowledgement, you could be a fabulous artist or musician. That would put you more outside his shadow than following in his footsteps. The Hokage is the one that protects everyone, even to the point of laying down his life. Naruto said a silent prayer for his father. Someone like you are now does not deserve to be Hokage. Teach me, boss, Konohamaru said. Jishin said that you were strong for your age. Naruto had a feeling that the Hokage was trying to distract his grandson with him to get a little peace. He had an evil thought. Sure, brat, he said. I'll tell you one of the things I did to train, pranks. Pranks? The smaller boy said. Pranks, he nodded. Pranks are like mini shinobi missions. They require the same type of planning and stealth to do a good one. Are you willing to follow my rules for using pranks as training? Konohamaru nodded eagerly. Lay it on me, boss. First, you're only allowed to hurt their pride. No injuries. Second, no major property damage. If it takes more than half an hour to clean up, you went too far. Third, it's alright to get caught as long as you pull off the prank. If you get a reputation, it makes it harder to pull off your pranks and the value of pranking as training goes up. If you do get caught, take your punishment with a smile. You want to be a prankster, not a punk or a bully. Fourth and last, target those that take themselves too seriously. You'll be doing them a favor by deflating their ego. Targeting those that treat you poorly for a bit of revenge is great too, as long as you follow the first two rules. Got it? The boy, who had pulled out a notebook and was eagerly writing, nodded energetically. Okay, the blonde said. Give me some ideas of what your first pranks would be and I'll give you some pointers. Naruto smiled to himself as the other boy began to list some ideas. The Hokage should know better than to try and dump his grandson on him. He also figured that Mr. I wear sunglasses indoors would be a common target. That made him smile. Who said petty revenge could not be sweet? That night, Naruto asked his mom, "What are you going to teach me next, Mom?" Chakra seal manifestation, she said. Once you get that down, I'll teach you the seal for adamant sealing chains. I'll be able to make chains like yours? He asked. Yes, the chains that come from the seal will be able to suppress chakra like my own chains, she said. Chakra seal manifestation is also useful for other short-duration seals like privacy seals or for quick traps. Your father used it with his Horatian seal during tough fights. The easiest way to use it is with your hands, but when you get better at it, you can use your feet to do it. It's also possible to use your chains, since they're extensions of your chakra, but that's much harder. It took me years to be able to do it like that. Awesome, he said. If he could spawn the seal for the sealing chains with his attacking chains, that would almost make up for not having his mom's special chakra. Hey Mom, he said. Do you have something that will help me when I eventually have missions out of the village? My shadow clones don't typically last longer than a day. I have been working on a seal that should draw natural chakra and convert it to make your clone last, she said. Natural chakra? Naruto asked. It's the natural energy that living things leave behind in the earth. People who can use it directly are called sages. This particular seal slowly draws from it and converts it to normal chakra. That sounds pretty cool, Naruto said. Its rate is very slow, slower than a normal shinobi's recharge rate, his mom said, but it will be enough to support a shadow clone that isn't using a lot of techniques. So my clones wouldn't be able to make a lot of seals while I was gone? He asked. Not all at once, she said. You could do a few every hour, but certainly not up to your standards. Their second day of training, Kushina talked about her plans to train them in teamwork exercises, tracking theory, stealth, trap making, and ambushes as well as physical and chakra conditioning. She also offered to teach Sakura her personal taijutsu style which paired well with genjutsu. I don't know much about the Hyuga or Uzumaki fighting styles, she said. I'm going to assume that you have your own resources for those. After she had finished outlining what areas she would teach them, she asked, Can anyone tell me what the most important aspect of teamwork is? Communication? Offered Sakura. It's true that communication is very important for teamwork, Kushina said, and we'll be learning some very important communication skills, but that isn't what I feel is the most important. None of the girls said anything. Trust, Kushina said. You have to be able to trust your teammates. Tsunami felt guilty. She was hiding 3 major secrets from her teammates. Granted, they were all S-rank secrets. The Hokage had absolutely forbidden her from telling anyone her parents' identities. She was even forbidden from confirming that she was a real Uzumaki to anyone not on her team, although the observant would figure it out. She was also forbidden from letting anyone know about her special disguise technique unless it was life or death. She was allowed to tell her team, if it were mission critical. The Hokage told her that mission critical meant that it could not be solved any other way with a degree of success, and she trusted her teammates. The only one of the 3 she could tell outright was that she held the Kyuubi. The Hokage only asked her to use her best judgment and to be cautious. When she had asked why her disguise was S-rank, when by all rights it should be A-rank at best, the Hokage had told her that someone had leaked her Jinchuriki status against his will and that her secrets were not safe with only the usual precautions. I'm not saying that you can have secrets, Kushina continued. Eventually, if you advance in rank, you'll be privy to village secrets that you are required to keep from even your closest friends. Plus, everyone is entitled to a certain amount of privacy. What do you think I mean by trust? You have to be able to trust your teammates to have your back, Tsunami said. That's right, she said. You'll be trusting each other with your lives. You have to be able to know that your teammates won't let you down. Part of this is that you have to really know each other's capabilities. Kurenai then taught them the basic Konoha hand signs and they drilled on them for an hour. Are you ready for your first mission? Kurenai asked. Yes, Tsunami proclaimed. How come we didn't do one yesterday? A group of Chunin makes it a practice to flood the mission office on the day after the real genin exam. Waiting in line for a D rank is not my idea of fun. Tsunami wondered what she meant about that. Why would they do that, Kurenai-sensei? Sakura asked. They think it's funny, Kurenai said, rolling her eyes. Why? Tsunami asked. Mostly harmless hazing. They walked to the mission office. The Hokage was sitting at a table. Irika was assisting him. Good morning, teammate, the Hokage said. Good morning, Hokage-sama, said everyone except Naruto, who said hi, Jishin. Tsunami-chan, Irika scolded. I expect better from you than from your brother. Show Hokage-sama some respect. The Hokage chuckled. It's alright, Irika-san. I'm used to the attention from the Uzumaki twins and I don't mind it. He shuffled some papers. I have some very important missions here for your sensei to choose from. He looked down at the papers again. The Inuzuka kennels need to be cleaned out, the orphanage needs some story readers, the Akimichi needs some supplies transported. Tsunami looked at her teammates. They were both staring at the Hokage with slack jaws. She knew that D ranks were the least important missions, but these were just chores that anyone could do. She looked at the Hokage. His eyes were twinkling. She had been pranked. And not just any prank. It was a prank that every genin was subjected to, judging by Kurenai, Irika, and the others' faces. The old man would pay for this. Okay, you got me, Jishin, she said. That was a decent prank, not up to my own standards, but still decent. What are the real missions? The Hokage chuckled. That's what makes this prank so good. He paused to light his pipe. You mean? She said in horror. Yep, those were the real missions, he said. Why didn't anyone warn us it would be like this? Asked Sakura. And ruin this moment? The Hokage asked. He chuckled again. Plus, we would have a hard time convincing young people to be shinobi if we told them they'd have to do months of chores before being allowed to do real missions. But now that you have your badges, it's too late. The Hokage finished off with a passable evil laugh. The Hokage was laying the teasing on pretty thick. She smiled sweetly. Let him have his fun, she would return the favor. She heard Irika say quietly, oh, I recognize that grin. I think you're in trouble, Hokage-sama. He must have been louder than he thought, since Hinata giggled and Sakura hissed, don't do anything you're stupid like your brother would do, Tsunami-chan. Tsunami waved her off as Kurenai said, we'll help with the supplies, Hokage-sama. She took the mission scroll that Irika handed her and led her students out of the office. They met a middle-aged Akimichi woman at a warehouse in the market district. Their task was to transport fresh food ingredients to 3 different restaurants. I can seal the supplies into storage seals for ease of transport, Tsunami offered. Kurenai thought for a moment. I'll allow that, if you all agree to extra physical conditioning this afternoon. Part of the point of D ranks is to help get you into shape for more difficult missions. I want to encourage you to think of ways to make your missions easier, but I don't want you to fall behind in your training either. The girls all looked at each other and nodded. The mission did not take long. After they reported success to the Hokage, Kurenai dismissed them for lunch. After lunch, they met for physical training. Tsunami enjoyed the training. She would always rather do things than listen to a lecture. Plus, it was always more fun to do things with others. Hinata seemed to quietly enjoy the training too, but after 30 minutes, Sakura started to complain. Sakura-san, Kurenai said gravely, I thought you wanted to be a serious kunoichi. I do, Sakura replied. Shinobi are required to run for hours in order to get to informations, their sensei said. Since our team is a first response type of team, this is especially important for us. If this type of exercise tires you after only half an hour, you need to step up your personal training. But Ishida-sensei said that a kunoichi should always look her best, Sakura protested. How can we do that with all that running? She's still at the academy? Kurenai said with a grimace. Ishida-san is one of those that thinks that kunoichi have to be the type of kunoichi she was, an infiltrator. If you want to be an infiltrator, we can have you move to one of those teams, but I warn you that most infiltration missions involve places of ill repute rather than palaces. No, that's okay, Sakura reassured her. I'll do better. Make sure you eat more too, Kurenai said. I don't want you fainting from lack of energy. Hinata-chan can tell you how much you should be eating. The Hokage was not laughing when Naruto strung toilet paper all over the Hokage tower that night. Tsunami smirked all through picking up their mission the next morning. Most training days were repeats of their second day, lectures and drills in the early morning, followed by a D-rank mission and then physical training. Naruto got contracts for seals from 2 other shinobi supply stores as well as the ANBU quartermaster. The clerk at the second store took a look at the seals. "These don't look like the other seals that we carry," he said. "Most seals use an obscuration method so that they can't be copied," Naruto said. "This is usually done even for simple seals in order to prevent the inexperienced from injuring themselves trying to copy a seal without guidance. I use a different obscuration pattern than most due to the way I learned." Naruto danced around saying that he used the Uzushio style rather than the Konoha style. The Hokage still did not want him claiming his Uzumaki blood publicly. "My boss will need you to demonstrate these, but I think he'll be agreeable, assuming they work." A week after team assignments, Kakashi visited Naruto in the evening. "How would you feel about joining my team for practices once a week, Naruto-kun?" he asked. "Why?" Naruto asked. "Even though you're only in the reserves, you should still keep up with more than just your seal work. My team would also benefit from another sparring partner." Naruto thought about it. It would help him out to be able to spar in his original form. His only real sparring partners had ever been his mom in his mindscape and his own clones. The infrequent academy matches did not really count for much. "All right," he said. "I can come on Wednesdays." That was one of 2 days, the other being Sunday, that Kurinai gave them off of training. That way he would not have to worry about a shadow clone dispelling at the wrong time. "That works. Be at training ground 3 at 10, Kakashi said before disappearing in a body flicker. The next Wednesday, Naruto showed up at training ground 3 a little before 10. He was wearing his leaf badge for the first time as Naruto. "Hey, dead last," Kyuubi yelled. "What are you doing here? And where did you get the leaf badge?" "Hey, dog breath," Naruto yelled back. "Kakashi-sensei asked me to come and replace you so that your team could have a real shinobi." Kiba stopped and started. Shino and Sasuke stared at him too. "What?" Kiba shouted. "No way." Naruto burst out in laughter. "Just kidding. You should have seen your face. Nah, Kakashi-sensei asked me to come and give you guys another sparring partner. I have the leaf badge because I'm in the reserves." "How did that happen?" Kiba asked. "You didn't pass the test." "Turns out Mizuki was sabotaging my tests," Naruto said. "He's currently under investigation to see if he was sabotaging anyone else." "No way!" Kiba shouted. "You couldn't even do a clone." "It turns out I'm too awesome for the clone technique," Naruto said. "Too much chakra to make it work." "What?" Kiba shouted. "I don't believe you." "It is true that Uzumaki-san has a very large amount of chakra," Shino said. "How do I know? My Kakaiju can sense that he has at least as much chakra as Kakashi-sensei, and so does his sister." "How did you get so much chakra, dead last?" Sasuke asked. Naruto shrugged. "I didn't do anything special for it. Maybe it's inherited, but we're orphans and nobody has told us anything about our family." "Why did you join the reserves if you should have passed?" Kiba asked. He shrugged again. "After the way I was treated by Mizuki and some others, it lost its luster. Truthfully, the only reason I joined the reserves is so that I could practice Fuinjutsu." "Sealing?" Sasuke asked. "I like it and I seem to be talented at it," Naruto said. The conversation died and they all set to waiting. Naruto pulled out one of his Fuinjutsu texts and started to read. Half an hour later, Kakashi showed up. Kiba yelled at him and Sasuke looked even more irritated than normal. Naruto was irritated as well, but it was not a complete waste of his time since he had his text with him. Kakashi had them do taijutsu-only spars. Based on his experience in the academy, he and Kiba were close to the same level if they stuck to pure taijutsu without Kiba's partner, Akamaru. Sasuke was better and Shino was last. It was not that Shino was poor at taijutsu, he was actually better than most of their class had been, but the other 3 were better. Since it had been only a couple of weeks since the academy, the results were typical. Sasuke won all of his spars. Naruto happened to win 2 out of his first 3 spars with Kiba and all of his with Shino. Shino had gotten lucky and won the last of his 3 spars with Kiba. "Arg!" Kiba growled in frustration. "This isn't fair. Most of my taijutsu moves are designed to be used in combination with Akamaru. Let me use him, sensei, and I'll wipe the floor with the dead last." Now, Kiba-kun, Kakashi said, lifting his gaze from the orange book he had been reading. That wouldn't be fair. Naruto-kun doesn't have any clan techniques to use, right? He raised a brow, daring Naruto to say differently. Actually, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said. While I can't use any clan techniques, I do know the shadow clone technique. This was true in that the Hokage had forbidden him from showing off any clan techniques trivially. Hokage Jishin allowed me to learn it after we discovered I had too much chakra for the normal clone technique. It'd be fair fighting Dog Breath and Akamaru-san if I can use shadow clones. Kakashi stroked his masked chin thoughtfully. Okay, Kiba-kun. You can use Akamaru-kun, your 4 legs technique, and your man-beast clone, but no other clan techniques you might know. Naruto-kun, you can use 3 shadow clones. If one of them dispels, you can make a new one to replace it. Can I use replacement too? Naruto asked. Kakashi nodded. That would be okay, but Kiba-kun can use it too. You're going down, dead last, Kiba said. Naruto bowed toward Akamaru and said, I'll try not to hurt your servant too badly, Akamaru-san. The puppy yipped in amusement. Kiba growled. The match started with Kiba tossing Akamaru a pill, which turned the puppy red. Kiba shouted, for legs technique. Man-beast clone. Akamaru turned into a copy of Kiba and they both crouched and growled ferally before charging Naruto. Naruto made the clone seal and formed 3 shadow clones. They spread out slightly. Naruto seamlessly replaced himself with one of the clones. Naruto himself targeted the Kiba he thought was really the puppy with the one of the clones. With some clever footwork and replacements, he managed to get a good position on the presumed dog and gave him a hard blow in the back. The Kiba yipped and turned back into Akamaru. The real Kiba had finished off the 2 clones facing him and charged Naruto. Naruto spawned 2 more clones to replace the 2 that had dispelled and turned to face Kiba. The new clones did not have time to spread out as Kiba clawed through them, causing them to dissipate in smoke. Naruto switched with his last clone and then made 3 more as Kiba made short work of the sacrificial clone. This time they were able to spread out and come at the Inuzuka from all sides. Naruto was again able to get a favorable position on his opponent and hammered him into the ground. That was excellent use of the replacement technique, Naruto-kun, Kakashi made one of his rare comments. I believe that was the deciding factor in the match. After that, they went back to pure taijutsu matches. In the last match of the day, Naruto finally managed to pull a win over Sasuke for the first time ever, mostly because of his stamina advantage over the Uchiha boy. When he dismissed the others, Kakashi asked Naruto to stay. I was fascinated to find out that you knew your mother's taijutsu style, Naruto-kun. My mother's style? He said, playing dumb. Kakashi nodded. You're not bad at it, but it seems awkward for you in places. I learned it from Tsunami-chan, he said. Our bodies are different enough that I can't do things exactly the way she can. Where did Tsunami-chan learn it? Kakashi asked. The Hokage forbade her from saying, Naruto said. She picked it up before she came back to Konoha, but she's never told me much of what happened while she was gone. He paused for a moment. That's pretty cool that it's my mother's style. I'm not the best for teaching taijutsu, Kakashi said, but I can give you some tips on how to adjust the style for your body type. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto exclaimed. The following day, Naruto overslept slightly. He transformed, dressed, and ran out the door. When she arrived, Sakura exclaimed, Why do you have whisker marks like your brother, Tsunami-chan? Huh? Tsunami asked. Sakura pulled out a compact and handed it to her. Naruto opened it up and peered into the mirror. Sure enough, her face showed the familiar whisker birthmarks. Oh, I forgot to cover them up this morning, she extemporized. I think they're cute, Hinata said. Why do you cover them up? Tsunami grimaced. They're the reason that Naruto-kun is treated poorly. When I first arrived, he advised me to hide mine. What? Sakura exclaimed. Do they think he's the Kyuubi or something? Tsunami chuckled nervously. Wait. You're serious? Sakura said, floored. That's stupid. Naruto-san is an idiot, but he's mostly harmless. Well, Tsunami said. We were born the day that the fourth defeated the Kyuubi and we have the marks, and nobody knows who our parents were. People drew stupid conclusions. Where do the marks come from? Hinata asked. The Hokage only said that it came from a condition of our mother's, Tsunami said. He said that the first Hokage's youngest son also had the marks, because the first's wife had the same condition, but very few people remember because he died young. Wait, Sakura said, wasn't the first's wife an Uzumaki too? Yes, Tsunami said. If you don't mind, I'm going to cover the marks with the disguise. Won't that take a lot of chakra? Sakura asked. Don't worry about it, Sakura-chan, she replied. I have tons of chakra. It won't be an issue for a disguise this minor. That morning they were introduced to the menace known as Tora. Naruto was already stressed due to worrying about why her tsunami disguise showed her whisker marks. Finally, they cornered the beast for the third time. Hinata-chan, Tsunami growled. Is anyone close enough to observe us? No, Tsunami-chan, the other girl replied after looking with her Byakugan. Good. Tsunami activated her adamantine attacking chains. They sprouted from her back and thrust into the ground, and then came up underneath the infernal cat and snared it. Grab it, Hinata-chan, before I kill it, she growled. That night, Naruto informed his mother about what had happened with his tsunami disguise that morning. Have you noticed anything else odd about your disguise technique? His mother asked. The only weird thing is that it's costing less chakra to turn into tsunami, and it actually takes some to turn back to myself if I'm starting from tsunami. If I'm naked, it costs barely more to turn into her than it takes to turn into my normal form. Huh, his mother commented. If I were to guess, I'd say that your tsunami form is becoming more and more stable. However, the most stable form includes your whisker marks. Naruto stared at her. Does this mean I'm going to have to worry about appearing as her with blonde hair too? His mom shrugged. I'm not sure. The fact that you ended up with blonde hair always seemed weird to me. Usually the darker colors dominate inheritance. As far as I know, I don't have any blonde genes, so it was weird that your hair took after your father's. I'd just keep an eye on it. I'd recommend that you check yourself over before leaving each morning. Your hair color should stand out more than your birthmarks anyway. Things went similarly for the next 2 months, training with her team most days and Kakashi's on Wednesdays. The 3 genin were once again in the mission office. The Hokage was listing off more worthless D-rank missions. Just as Tsunami was about to open her mouth to complain, Kurinai said with a humorous note in her voice, I think we're ready for a simple C-rank mission, Hokage-sama. The Hokage stared at each of the genin for a few moments before saying, very well. He looked through some of his scrolls before selecting one and handing it to Kurinai. Bring in the Taki tutor, he said. A Chunin brought in a man in well-made, but not aristocratic, civilian clothing. This is Suzuki Akira-san, the tutor for the daughter of the daimyo of Taki no Kuni. You are to escort him and his charge to Takamitsukura no Sato, the seat of the daimyo of Taki no Kuni. Kurinai directed the genin to meet her at the gates in 2 hours. Naruto went to her apartment and packed for the mission. She was grateful that she knew sealing techniques. Her specialized storage seals made packing and unpacking easy. They also allowed her to categorize and segregate her supplies so that they were not all sealed into one large bin. She summoned and dismissed a shadow clone so that the long-term clone that was playing her original self would know what was happening. The clone had been active for 3 weeks. The final version of the seal her mother had made allowed for memories to be exchanged while sleeping. That way she would not get hammered by the memories all at once, and she could keep updated on what her clone was doing. The clone usually posed as Naruto during the day except for when he trained with Kakashi's team. The clone would have to be sick on Wednesday. She arrived at the meeting place 15 minutes early. Hinata was already there. Sakura arrived 5 minutes later and Kurinai 5 minutes after that. Kurinai quizzed them on supplies while they waited. It was more a formality than anything, since Kurinai had already drilled them on appropriate supplies extensively. At the appointed time, a coach pulled up to next to them. Akira stepped out of the coach and introduced the daimyo of Taki's daughter, Masami, and her governess, Rika. The driver of the coach was named Hideo. Masami requested that Hinata ride with her. Kurinai nodded her approval and Hinata climbed into the coach. Sakura complained lightly that Hinata got to ride. You would have been asked to ride if you were the heiress of a noble clan too, Sakura-chan, Tsunami snapped. She then paused as she realized that she herself qualified, even if nobody knew. She shook her head and said, I don't really envy Hinata-chan her spot on this mission. Why? Sakura asked with a sneer, too much of a tomboy? Tsunami laughed. That too. No, I was referring to the discomfort of riding in that death trap. Look at the wheels bounce in the ruts. Even with cushions, I don't imagine the coach ride is pleasant. After they had gotten through the outer sensing barrier that surrounded Konoha, Kurinai had Tsunami send shadow clones out ahead of them to scout the way. She also had her leave some to travel behind them as a rear guard. When they camped for the evening, they were all subjected to Masami's incessant chatter. Her favorite topic was noble families. She had made a hobby of memorizing the characteristics of many of them. Noble shinobi clans are the easiest to identify, since they tend to marry within their clans they all look pretty similar, she said. I immediately identified Hyuga-san, of course. Their clan's eyes are quite distinctive. Konoha has 4 official noble clans, the Hyuga, the Uchiha, the Akimichi, and the Aburame. They are all quite distinctive in appearance. There's also the Senju, who, while not an official noble clan, is treated as such due to the prominence of the first and second Hokage and their role in founding Konoha along with the Uchiha. They also intermarried quite regularly with the Uzumaki of Yuzu no Kuni, who were another noble clan. She turned to Tsunami. You could actually pass for an Uzumaki with your red hair. I understand that they had quite a few connections to Konoha before Yuzu was destroyed. Tsunami laughed. She hoped her nervousness did not show. I'm actually blonde. I just dye my hair so people don't mistake me for my twin brother. Do you know how annoying it is to be mistaken for a boy? It was almost the truth. Are you a Yamanaka then? She asked before answering herself. No, your eyes are the wrong shade of blue. Actually, your eyes look a lot like the 4th Hokage's eyes. He also had blonde hair. Akira started at that. Actually, the whole camp began to stare at her, as if imagining her with blonde hair. Being known as the 4th's daughter would be worse than being known as an Uzumaki. She laughed again. My brother and I were made orphans by the Kyuubi attack. No one's ever managed to figure out who our parents were, but if we were related to the 4th, I don't think we would have ended up in an orphanage like we did. With that, Masami dismissed her as unimportant. Her gaze passed to Sakura. There aren't any notable clans with pink hair. If Naruto knew Sakura, she was about to go into full-on I will marry Sasuke-kun mode. She looked over and saw Sakura open her mouth, but a look from Kurinai stifled her. Their sensei really hated Sakura's fangirl rants, and doing it in front of a client? That would earn her a nasty genjutsu for sure. Masami arched an eyebrow at Sakura, daring her to say something. Instead of what Tsunami knew from experience she was going to say, Sakura cleared her throat and said, the 4th Hokage was not from a notable clan. Masami smiled condescendingly. Occasionally, someone without a noble background gains power or influence, but it is rare. Tsunami snorted. I don't know about you, but I want to succeed on my own. Being given everything on a silver platter means you don't have your own worth. That was one reason why it did not bother her most of the time that she could not tell people her own heritage. She thought warmly of Konohamaru and his struggle to step out of his grandpa's shadow. Masami sneered at her, but before she could say anything, Kurinai asked, if you don't mind satisfying my curiosity, why did you hire Konoha shinobi instead of Taki shinobi? Akira jumped in to answer the question. We did hire shinobi from Takigakure, but they were all male and Masami-sama felt that she would be more comfortable with a kunoichi to protect her, so we released them. It is our good fortune that Hokage Dano supplied us with an all-kunoichi team. We're actually the first all-kunoichi team that Konoha has fielded for quite a while, Kurinai said. I'm confident that my girls and I will meet and exceed your expectations. With that, Kurinai made assignments for watches during the night. Hinata was assigned first watch, and the other 2 were sent to bed. The following days were more of the same. Masami would make snotty remarks toward Tsunami or Sakura whenever she was around them. Luckily, she always requested Hinata to be her personal guard. That suited Sakura and Tsunami just fine. The day after they entered Taki no Kuni, Tsunami was jolted into awareness by the memory of a shadow clone dismissing itself. She dropped over to where Kurinai was jogging at the rear of the coach. Kurinai-sensei, one of my shadow clones ran into a team of 3 IWA shinobi. Did they attack your clone? Kurinai asked with a touch of worry. She shook her head. No, they didn't attack, but their leader asked for a meeting with my leader in a neutral location. Did they give their name? Kurinai asked. She's a chunin named Kuratsuchi, Tsunami responded. Kurinai tapped her chin. I've heard of her. She's that Tsuchikid's granddaughter and pretty strong for a chunin. Are you going to meet with her? Tsunami asked. What if it's a trap? I'll meet with her and I'll be careful, Kurinai said. Genjutsu are actually very useful for this type of meeting. However, I will take one of your shadow clones with me for communication. Kurinai sped up and called for Hideo to stop the coach. She explained to everyone what was going on. Akira was very dissatisfied with Kurinai's plans. What if there's a second team of shinobi that attack while you're gone? He asked. It's highly unlikely that there will be any more shinobi, Kurinai said. IWA would be crazy to start a war with Taki no Kuni and Hai no Kuni over a 4th daughter of a minor country's daimyo. Masami looked very disgruntled at Kurinai's description of her. Sakura and Tsunami flashed each other brief smiles. Tsunami felt that Kurinai had made the slight intentionally, due to Masami's behavior. My genin are fully prepared to handle any other disturbance while I'm gone, and I will be able to communicate with my team through Tsunami-san's shadow clones. She turned to Hinata. Hinata-san, before I leave, find a secure location for you to wait for me. An open area with lots of visibility would be best. Kurenai had discussed this type of scenario with them before. The benefit from being secure from sneak attacks outweighed the benefit from any shelter, at least until Hinata had enough chakra to keep her Byakugan constantly activated. Hinata activated her Byakugan and searched. There's a large meadow about 200 meters farther along the road. Kurenai nodded and led them to the meadow. I shouldn't be gone more than 2 hours. I'll send word through the shadow clone if that changes. I don't expect any problems, but if there are any, I want you to race back to the border with Haino Kuni, okay? The guards at the border station will help you. After Kurenai and Tsunami's shadow clone left, Rika pulled cushions out of the coach. She and Masami sat on them in the shade of the coach. Hinata stood beside them. Hideo sat alertly in the driver's seat. Akira paced nervously a short distance from the coach. Tsunami and Sakura stood apart from the coach on either side so that they could see past the coach, and so that between the 3 genin, who were arranged in a shallow triangle, they could see all the approaches. Every 10 minutes, Hinata activated her Byakugan briefly to make sure that everything was as it should be. After Kurenai had been gone for 40 minutes, Akira grabbed Sakura from behind as he paced by her and put a knife to her throat. Akira-san, what are you doing? Masami demanded before Tsunami or Hinata could say anything. I think I know what IWA Nin are doing in Taki no Kuni, he said, and I'm not going to wait for the Konoha Jounin to hand me over to them. What? Tsunami exclaimed. They're after me, Akira said, but they won't get me. How do you think that holding Sakura-chan hostage will help you? Tsunami demanded. You'll end up with Konoha after you too. You'll tie up everyone else, and then I'll make a rock clone to tie up you and the pink one, Akira said. My rock clone will check your knots, and then I'll leave. How can we trust you? Hinata said. If the IWA Nin are after you, you're probably a missing Nin. What choice do you have? Akira said with a smirk. The only one who could stop me isn't here. Oh, we can stop you, Tsunami said. Not without the pink one's pretty little throat being opened, Akira said snidely. Everyone stared at Akira. Sakura was sweating and trying not to whimper. Tsunami had a plan. It was dangerous, but she thought she was only really putting herself at risk, so she decided to try it. She did a quick seal-less replacement with Sakura and thrust her chains out her back. The fact that she was shorter than Sakura meant that the knife was out of position. She reached up to grab the arm that held it, but the sudden jerk from her chains impacting Akira meant that she missed. A sharp pain enveloped her right hand as she heard a gurgling sound behind her. She clutched her hand and fell to the ground. She looked over her shoulder and saw that her chains had punched through Akira's abdomen. She retracted them as she felt her own stomach try to and succeed in discharging its contents. Tsunami-chan! She heard both her teammates yell. Make sure he can't hurt us, she managed to get out. Stomach wounds don't kill immediately. She saw Sakura move over and then say mechanically after a few moments, I made sure he's dead. Hinata knelt beside her. Can you let me see your hand, Tsunami-chan? She gently took Swami's hand and examined it. Tsunami could not look. Sakura-chan, Hinata said, can you get some bandages from our gear? How bad is it, Hinata-chan? Tsunami asked. I'm afraid that you lost most of your pinky finger, Tsunami-chan, she said. Tsunami grimaced. Sakura returned with bandages and a healing ointment that Hinata had made for everyone. Hinata wrapped the wounds. You've gone into shock, Tsunami-chan, she said. You should lay down and rest until Kurenai-sensei returns. I'm so sorry, Tsunami-chan, Sakura said. I should have been more alert. Masami and Rika huddled near the coach, facing away from Tsunami. 10 inches later, Kurenai returned with the leader of the IWA Nin. Tsunami-chan! Kurenai exclaimed. What happened? Akira caught me by surprise, Sakura admitted embarrassedly. Tsunami-chan lost a finger rescuing me. She managed to incapacitate him in the process, and I made sure that he was stopped, permanently. How come she didn't let me know? Kurenai asked. It happened too quickly and then she went into shock, Hinata explained. Yes, this is definitely Hidatsuchi, one of our Chunin-level missing Nins, the IWA Kunoichi, Kuratsuchi said. She severed the head and burned the body. I'll have his bounty sent for your genin. It's the least I can do for her getting named taking care of one of our problems. With that, the IWA Kunoichi left. I know a limited amount of medical techniques, Kurenai said. Let me make sure it heals cleanly. Her hand glowed green as she held it near the bandages. The ache in Tsunami's hand damped down, and the hot flashes she had experienced since the injury subsided. They spent the rest of the day camped at the location. As everyone was going to sleep, the thought of how the injury would affect her double life occurred to her. If Naruto had the same injury as Tsunami, it would be very suspicious. She waited until everyone except Kurenai, who was taking first watch, was asleep and then used her disguise technique to shift into her birth form. Usually, this took relatively little chakra. This time it took quite a lot, as much as 20 shadow clones. Naruto looked at his hand. The wound was gone, and he had his pinky back. He shifted back to Tsunami, which took the normal amount of chakra. Her hand remained healed. She heaved a sigh of relief. Now she only had to think of an explanation. Tsunami-chan? Kurenai said softly. I felt your chakra spike. Are you alright? Yes, Tsunami said equally softly. Let's move away a little bit so that we can talk. The other two genin and their clients were asleep. Tsunami did not want to wake them. When they were at enough distance that they would have little chance of waking the others, Tsunami reached out her formerly injured hand in the dark and grabbed Kurenai's hand with it. Kurenai gasped. Your finger grew back. Not exactly, Naruto said. It got restored when I changed to my other form, which took a lot more chakra than normal. I was worried that my other form would also be missing a finger. That's great, Tsunami-chan, her teacher said. I was worried when I couldn't find your finger. It must have gotten caught in the IWA Nin's fire technique. They can reattach fingers? Tsunami asked. Yes, Kurenai answered. If they aren't too damaged and proper care is taken. I can't do it, but I could have preserved your finger for when we got back to Konoha. She paused. What are you going to tell the others? I'll tell them it's a rare healing bloodline that pops up in Uzumaki sometimes, Tsunami said. It's more or less true. From what I can tell, my mother could do the true transformation as well due to the fox. I expect that I'll pass on the fox to one of my descendants when I get too old, just like Mito Basin did to Kacchan. That could work, Kurenai said. I would, however, keep the fact that it healed hidden from our client and her staff. It's better not to have any rumors floating around. You can tell Hinata-chan and Sakura-chan when we head back to Konoha. Alright, Kurenai-sensei, Tsunami responded. Head back to bed, Tsunami-chan, Kurenai directed. Even with the unholy amount of stamina you have, this day has been really trying for you. Get some rest. Okay, sensei, she responded, heading back to her sleeping mat. A subdued group left the campsite the next morning. Tsunami waved off any concerns about her health. She followed Kurenai's advice and wrapped up her hand so that it was hard to tell that her finger had returned. Luckily, they were able to make it to Takamitsukura by evening. After a brief hesitation, Kurenai directed the genin to remain outside the daimyo's palace while she met with the daimyo, and received the remainder of the payment due Konoha. They spent the night in a hotel in the city. Kurenai signaled that they should remain quiet about the mission and its results before sending them to bed. The next morning, they left Takamitsukura at the distance-eating shinobi travel pace. After they had traveled for an hour, Kurenai had them slow to a walk. Normally, I would have had you meet the daimyo with me, she said. It would be a good experience for you, especially Hinata-chan and Tsunami-chan, based on their goals and backgrounds. However, I decided that Tsunami-chan's injury would raise too many questions. Wouldn't it have been advantageous to gain more sympathy, sensei? Sakura asked. Normally, that would be true, Sakura-chan, their teacher replied. However, this time. Why don't you show them, Tsunami-chan? Tsunami nodded and unwrapped the bandage on her formerly injured hand. How? Sakura exclaimed. I healed it through a rare Uzumaki bloodline, Tsunami said. Not all of us have it, but it shows up every generation or two. Sakura slammed into her and hugged her fiercely. I'm so glad that you didn't lose your finger because of me, Tsunami-chan. Tsunami awkwardly returned the hug. At one time, she had had a small crush on the girl as Naruto, before her attitude and fangirlish behavior had turned him off. It's okay, Sakura-chan, she said. Even if I couldn't have healed it, I would have done it to save one of my friends. Sakura nodded and blinked back tears as she released her. Does Naruto-kun have the bloodline too? Hinata asked. Hesitantly, Tsunami nodded. He does, which is unusual that we both have it. Our mom had it too, but before that the last person who had it was our mom's great-great-aunt. There's no guarantee that any of our kids would get it. Why hide the bloodline from Taki no Kuni? Hinata asked. I thought Konoha liked to showcase its bloodline abilities. There's a balance between showcasing talent to increase Konoha's reputation and protecting our shinobi from assassination or kidnapping, especially rookie genin, Kurinai said. In general, policy is to hide stuff like this until our shinobi are strong enough to fight in the Chunin exam finals. Sometimes it can't be helped, such as when they are members of a prominent clan, but Hokage-sama was explicit in Tsunami-chan's case because she doesn't have clan members to help protect her. The rest of the journey passed without incident. When they arrived in Konoha, they all reported the mission to the Hokage. After the basic report was finished, Kurinai dismissed Hinata and Sakura so that they could discuss Tsunami's bloodline under a privacy seal. After listening to Tsunami describe how she had recovered her finger, the Hokage thoughtfully smoked his pipe. What are the limitations of this, Tsunami-chan? Do you know? I think the only limitations are being aware enough to transform and having enough chakra, she replied. Do you think you could tap into the Kyuubi's chakra to do it? The Hokage asked. Tsunami started. I don't know. I've never actually used the fox's chakra. She glanced at Kurinai and decided to be circumspect. Her sensei did not know about her mom's presence in her seal. A feature of my seal kicked in when I was 5 and had enough chakra to support it. This feature buffers me from the Kyuubi's chakra and influence. This is why people like the Hyuga and the Aburame haven't twigged to the fact that I as Tsunami am a Jinchuriki. The only reason they know that I as Naruto am a Jinchuriki is that they knew me before the feature took effect. There was actually a minor panic when that happened, the Hokage admitted. Some of my shinobi were afraid you had released the Kyuubi. Huh, Tsunami said. I hadn't realized. We didn't want to alarm you, he replied. I had Jiraiya-kun check your seal while you were asleep. The Hokage dismissed them and Tsunami returned to her apartment after stopping by Ramen Ichiraku for her fix. Kurinai had given them 3 days off to recover from the mission. The next Wednesday, Naruto attended training with Kakashi's team. As was customary, Kakashi had them do taijutsu-only sparring. As usual, Sasuke beat the other 3, although this time his match with Naruto was close. Naruto and Kiba split their matches and Shino lost all of his. By early afternoon, Kakashi ended the training. Kiba and Shino both excused themselves to go do some clan training. You want to go again, dead last? Sasuke asked after they were the only ones left. Sure, jerk, Naruto responded. Kakashi had made them promise that any extracurricular sparring they did would be taijutsu only. He had explained that using weapons or ninjutsu while sparring unsupervised was a recipe for disaster. Naruto and the others suspected that was why most of the sparring they did in team training was taijutsu only as well. Kakashi was too lazy to supervise them closely. Naruto managed to eke out a win against Sasuke by outlasting him. Sasuke lay on his back, panting, to recover. Naruto lay down next to him in order to relax. How were you dead last in the academy? Sasuke asked. You remember how I said that Mizuki sabotaged my final exam? Naruto said. He also sabotaged my other tests and classwork. He wasn't the only one either, the teacher I had before Irika-sensei did it too. I'm actually as good as my sister, she's a little better in taijutsu, but I'm tougher. I probably would have graduated just slightly behind her at number 5 if it weren't for Mizuki and others like him. Why would they do that? Sasuke asked. Naruto hesitated. Sasuke was becoming a friend of sorts, a friendly rival, at least. The Hokage had told him he could tell others about the Kyuubi if he trusted them, but he hesitated. Finally, he answered, I inherited a weapon, a very powerful weapon. Hokage Jishin tells me it belonged to my mother before me, but he won't tell me any details because he says that if I let others know, it could be a danger to myself and Konoha. The weapon is very powerful and dangerous, but can only be safely handled by Uzumaki. There was a leak when I was a few days old that let many of the adults in the village know that I had the weapon. Most of the shinobi in the village are a little wary of me because of the weapon, but they mostly treat me alright. The civilians, on the other hand, are freaked out because of some accidents that happened with the weapon in the past. They treat me like a burning explosive note about to go off. They think that if I don't become a shinobi that the weapon will be less likely to be deployed. Some shinobi are of the same opinion. Unfortunately, most of those seem to be at the academy. Ever hear the expression, those that can't do teach? There's a certain amount of truth to that. The weapon is utilized via a seal and that isn't a topic you need to know in order to teach at the academy, so I don't think that many of the instructors there understand it. Sasuke grunted. People are stupid. After a brief pause, he asked. So only an Uzumaki can control it? You can't duplicate it? Jishin said that only an Uzumaki can hold it long term. It would be detrimental for anyone else to try. It is one of a kind. I wouldn't know where to begin to duplicate it, and would be very hesitant to try. To tell you the truth, I don't even know how to use it. It's so destructive I'm hesitant to try and figure it out. Sasuke grunted. You looking for an advantage against your brother? Naruto asked. Sasuke grunted in agreement. After a few moments, he asked, how did you know about that? Kiba-kun told me about your response during team introductions, Naruto responded. It wasn't hard to figure out who the man you wanted to kill was. Sasuke grunted again. Naruto had an evil thought. He also said you wanted to rebuild your clan? Why haven't you gotten started at that? He paused and then went in for the kill. Most of the boys in class were convinced you were gay, seeing as how you ignored all the girls that were after you. I'm not, Sasuke protested. Most of the girls in class weren't worthy of pursuit. Naruto laughed loudly. Sasuke smirked. The only one in our class I would consider is your sister. She and Hinata-san are the only ones that aren't worthless fangirls, and Hinata-san is too shy and insecure. Naruto stopped laughing. His dual life had left him unsure of how he felt about dating, but the idea of dating Sasuke as Tsunami turned his stomach. Sasuke waved away his incipient protest with a grunt and said, don't worry about me chasing your sister or bringing down the wrath of the fangirls upon her. Naruto interrupted him to say, Tsunami-chan can easily handle any and all of the fangirls. Sasuke grunted in affirmation before continuing. I'm still too young to be thinking too seriously about dating and what comes after. Too much can happen between now and when I would get married. Besides, any girl I attach myself to is likely to become a target for Itachi. Naruto grunted in response. Their second C-rank mission was to deliver a scroll to a Konoha outpost on the border between Kawa no Kuni and Hai no Kuni. The trip to the outpost was short, 2 days at a jog. At the end of the first day on the road after camp was set up, Sakura subjected the other two genin to another sermon on why Sasuke was so great. Sakura-chan, Tsunami interrupted her, did you know that my brother has become a friend of Sasuke-san? What? Sakura exclaimed. There's no way an idiot like your brother is friends with Sasuke-kun. Sakura-chan, Tsunami snapped, irritated with the way her friend always talked about her other half. Sakura chuckled nervously. Sorry, Tsunami-chan. Your brother is just so irritating with his pranks and boasting. Tsunami huffed. Anyway, Sasuke-san and my brother actually have a fair amount in common. They're both orphans with lonely childhoods who spend a lot of time training to cope. It's somewhat natural they would be friends. Naruto-kun has been training with Sasuke-san's team once a week by invitation of their sensei. What? Sakura exclaimed. Why? Kakashi-sensei said that Naruto-kun was originally supposed to be on his team until he was sabotaged into failing the original genin exam and decided to go into the reserves. Kakashi-sensei must have felt bad about it. He was sabotaged? He's in the reserves? Sakura asked, confused. Yes, Tsunami answered, irritated. You know he's about as good as I am. Did you really think he failed a legitimate test? But he was the dead last, Sakura said. It wasn't just the final exam that was sabotaged, Tsunami snapped. With how smart Sakura was, her decided lack of observational skills was annoying. Sakura looked at her blankly. You remember what we talked about when my whisker marks came out? Tsunami asked. Most of the village dislikes Naruto-kun because of that, and there are a substantial number that outright hate him. Mizuki-sensei and a few of the other teachers were like that. That's idiotic, Sakura said. Even if the Kyuubi wasn't dead and he was the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, treating him poorly because of that could have a serious backlash on the village. Tsunami froze up. She felt the blood drain from her face. Wait, Sakura said. He is? Is that what the marks are from? She looked at Tsunami a little nervously. Tsunami supposed that defending a Jinchuriki in abstract was easier than doing it in person. Hinata was watching the two of them with even wider eyes than normal. Tsunami struggled to get control of herself after having one of her darkest secrets discovered by one of her friends. Not exactly, she finally said. Our mother was the Kyuubi's second Jinchuriki. That is why we have the marks. Second? Sakura asked curiously. Uzumaki Midosama, the wife of the Shodai Hokage, was the first, Tsunami said. I'm surprised that I haven't seen the signs of Naruto-kun being a Jinchuriki, Hinata said. We Hyuga are taught to see them. The Kyuubi is buried so deeply in Naruto-kun's seal that nobody has seen a trace of it since he was 5, Tsunami answered. He's never drawn on its power, and isn't really even sure how to do so. Hokage Jishin thinks he could if he were in a life-threatening situation. Does this change how you feel about him? She asked both her teammates, but her gaze lingered on Hinata. I guess not, Sakura said, chuckling nervously. He's still a goof. He's just a goof with a massive amount of power on his hands. She trailed off nervously. Tsunami rolled her eyes. When has Naruto-kun ever played a truly dangerous or malicious prank? He's even stopped pranking altogether since graduation. Really? Asked Sakura. Tsunami nodded firmly. He's trying to be a respectable seal master. I think the way that Naruto-kun has handled the challenges he's been handed is admirable, Hinata said firmly. She was still looking down at the ground, but her stuttering had been absent for once. How did the Kyuubi get released from your mother? Sakura asked. The seal on a female Jinchuriki often weakens during birth, Tsunami said sadly. The village leaders knew this and made preparations to combat the weakness, but a masked man interfered and released the Kyuubi. Both our parents died as a result of the attack, and Yandame-sama was forced to seal the beast into Naruto-kun at the cost of his life. And you don't know who did this? Hinata asked. Tsunami shook her head. Kurinai spoke for the first time. Tsunami had forgotten she was nearby. What you have stumbled onto is an S-rank secret. Hokage-sama has forbidden spreading the fact that Naruto-san is a Jinchuriki on pain of death. But, Kurinai-sensei, Tsunami-chan says that everyone already knows. Sakura protested. It's true that most of the adults know, Kurinai admitted, but Hokage-sama wanted Naruto-kun to have a normal life and be able to grow up without prejudice. It hasn't exactly worked as he intended, but the decree still exists. Do you understand, Sakura-chan, Hinata-chan? I understand, sensei, both girls said. Everyone was quiet for a few minutes. Tsunami was uncomfortable with the silence, so she decided to bring up the topic she was going to talk to Sakura about before they got sidetracked. I was going to tell you, Sakura-chan, that Naruto-kun has talked to Sasuke-san a fair amount since graduation. One of the things that Sasuke-san told my brother is that he despises weak fangirls and will only marry a strong kunoichi. You want Sasuke-kun for yourself? Sakura accused angrily. Tsunami rolled her eyes. There is zero chance that I would marry Sasuke. Sakura narrowed her eyes. I don't believe you. Sasuke-kun is perfect. There's no way you don't secretly like him. Tsunami huffed, and Hinata shook her head. He's not perfect, Tsunami asserted, but even if he was, I couldn't marry him. Why not? Sakura said suspiciously. Sunmai sighed. He's the last of the Uchiha and Naruto-kun, and I are the last of the Uzumaki, as far as we know. Any husband I take would be required to marry into the Uzumaki clan, and Sasuke-san would never be willing to do so. The reverse is true as well. She had thought about this a lot since Sasuke's last conversation with her as Naruto about girls. The other reason is that she had decided that she could not risk getting pregnant so that what happened to her mother could not happen to her. The decision left her with an odd pang of regret. Before the talk with Sasuke, she had purposely avoided thinking about sex since her mother had given her the talk when she turned 10. Now the thought of having sex as a girl filled her with a sense of vulnerability and disgust, and if she were honest with herself, a small amount of curiosity, but somehow the thought of not carrying a baby inside her left her strangely empty and lacking. Is that what happened to your father? Hinata asked. He married into the Uzumaki? Not exactly, Tsunami admitted. Circumstances did not allow him to take her name, but they had agreed that all of their children would be Uzumaki. Her parents' marriage was secret, so her father could not take the Uzumaki name publicly. While the Namikaze were not a shinobi clan, Namikaze Minato was a famous shinobi name. It was unlikely that her father would have changed his name even after the marriage was known. So Sasuke-kun wants a strong kunoichi as a wife? Sakura asked tentatively. Tsunami nodded. While I suppose he wouldn't go for an ugly woman, he finds strength more attractive than any civilian concept of beauty. I think you shouldn't worry about trying to impress him at this point in your life. But if you really can't leave it alone, the best thing you can do is train hard and become a superior kunoichi. Sakura nodded thoughtfully before a more comfortable silence than before enveloped the camp. The drop-off of the scroll at the outpost went off without a hitch. However, on the way back, Tsunami and her team ran into a roadblock manned by 3 bandits. Tsunami's clones had warned them that they were there as well as the ones hiding in the forest. Kurinai had elected to spring their trap. One of them, probably the leader, held a sword. The other 2 carried spiked clubs. What do we have here? The bandit with the sword said. 3 little girls and a big girl playing at being ninja? Girls, said Kurinai, repeating what she had told them earlier for the bandits' benefit. Most of our missions until you reach Chunin will be clearing out bandits like this. I want you to take the lead on this. I'll back you up. I think the older one is scared, said one of the others. Hardly, said Kurinai. Feisty, said the third. I call dibs on her. I want the redhead, said the second. No way did you just say that, snarled Tsunami. Hinata started to tremble beside her. Tsunami put a steadying hand on her shoulder. These guys are chumps, Hinata-chan. You don't have any reason to be nervous. The one with the sword said, if you really are ninja, just the three of us might have trouble with you, but unlucky for you, we're not alone. He whistled and the 13 men Tsunami knew were hiding came out of the forest. That's it, Tsunami complained for effect. I can handle twice your number by myself. Calm down, Tsunami-chan, Kurinai said, grinning slightly.